Hello. Is this thing on? Do the whole behind the curtain Wizard of Oz thing. Isn't that fun? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. How is everyone this fine Monday? Club football is back, and what a weekend it's been. Man City were absolutely thumped by Tottenham. Amorim's start was a little bit shaky, and Villa didn't lose. Not too bad. How did your teams get on this weekend? Do let me know. Oh, Steve Cooper's been sacked as well, hasn't he? That was seems a little bit harsh, but what do you guys think? Who should be the new Leicester manager? That's actually set up as our big question of the day, the big question of the day, whatever you want to call it. Something there just as a little prompt. So we've got probably a stream with very, very little football going on. We've got transfer planning. It's about a month before the transfer window opens, but we want to kind of see who we need to keep an eye on, who we can potentially sell to generate funds, and we'll be going through like the team data and the player data and seeing what we can find out. So let's head on over to the lovely thing there. Now, you may have noticed briefly that there's a little scoreboard that's appeared. We've added a scoreboard for the little mini games that we play in between. It's currently being won by the marvellous, the wonderful, the incredible Johnny Trotter. So starting from last week, we have 5 points for Johnny Trotter, 2 wins, leading a bevy, that's the word we're going to go for, a bevy of other chatters out there. We've got quite a few of you guys on 3 points. And I see that RJ has already redeemed one of them. Let's see, he's gone for a guess the player, so we'll do that probably before we get into things in detail. So the pizza party will wait a couple of moments. But we will have 2 separate leaderboards running. We'll have one for all time, and then we'll have one each week. But obviously the week started today, so everyone will be on zero points. So there we go. Anyway, let's say a big hello to everyone who's in. There's loads of you in already, which is marvellous to see. So we have a Levi. Levi is always in nice and early. I appreciate you, Levi. You don't understand how happy it makes me when I click go live and then immediately there's a good evening. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a great weekend. Ease Off Tackles is here. Adam is in. Crodmo is in. ACAB is in. Johnny Trotter, who we've already mentioned, is in. And then we've got some wonderful faces over on YouTube as well. The Football Janitor is here. JHK is here. I saw someone else pop into chat just a moment ago as well, I'm sure. There he is. We've got Wrong Rambo. Wrong Rambo. Good evening from Kenya to you indeed. What an amazing name you have there. As well as Umigio Defensivo. Ah, there's some awful pronunciation on my behalf. Fabulous to see you guys all in. Obviously, we have RJ in. I see Chris Norton Walker's popped in as well. And let's see if I've just missed anything that I need to respond to. So Johnny Trotter came in with the best pun of the best joke of the stream already. So we can probably all go home, to be honest. So RJ says, Amron's stunt was to be expected. Can't change a team in one training session. The excuses are coming out for Amron already. Now, I agree. Obviously, it takes time. It takes like literally months before those ideas become second nature in players' playing style. And, anything that you kind of see in the next few weeks probably doesn't actually owe much to Amron from a tactical perspective, at least, but might do in terms of just like the morale side of things. But I mean, I've certainly known many times of watching an Aston Villa manager going, look, we've just got to give him time, get his thoughts in, and it never improves. So, the excuses come out early. So, Crabbo, okay, now I've killed the other streamers. Mustermann's voice doubled up with a 10-second delay is confusing. Also, my team was shit at the weekend, as they always are. And a 0-0 draw, I mean, that's... You've lost only one in the last 4 or 5 games or so? That's not too bad at all. Crodmo is, of course, an Everton fan. Chris Norton Walker, hello. RJ asks, do you really keep track of your scores? Well, I went back and watched through the VODs last week so that I could top them all up. Obviously, last week was when we started having them as redeemable. So I thought it wasn't too much of an ask to go through them all and tot everything up. And then during the course of the streams from here on in, I'll remember and I'll know to do it straight away. So I've got a lovely little spreadsheet hidden behind everything that I'll be able to jump over to. Hongda Min is in. Good evening. How are you, sir? So, Migio Defensivo means defensive midfielder. Says, Migio Defensive Medio Defensivo. Thank you for that. Lovely to know. The football janitor is a knobhead. What an unfair thing to say. What an unfair thing to say. I assume that is you. That is the account you were looking at on YouTube then. That's a Hungdamin. Good evening. A Musterman team not knees deep in relegation. Nice. Well, we're not exactly safe. So we are at the halfway point of the first half. Well, the halfway point of the first stage of the league. So the league, after 22 games, is going to split into two, a championship group and a relegation group. We are almost certainly going to find ourselves in the relegation group, even though we're only 5 points off 6th. We sit on 10 points after 11 games, which gives us a 3-point buffer to the relegation spots. And that's kind of around what we expected this season. So let's pop into the Verkehrsliga here. The season preview, we were predicted 10th, but a lot of the time we were actually down as predicted as 11th. I'm surprised that Knistan have dropped below us now because they're currently 2nd in the league. But we expect things to be tough, and it's going to be a real fight this season, especially to kind of try and survive. But I think that if we can get through this season, we'll eventually be able to kind of make those steps necessary to improve and start stamping a real style onto the team. And it's been quite fun though. So in 11 games, we've seen 36 goals, and ultimately entertainment is what it's about. We might lose lots of games quite heavily, but we're going to always throw it back at the opposition. If that means that I'd rather we lose 4-1 than 1-0, because then at least we've kind of opened up and we've gone for it. Rodrigo and Gionsa are both in. Good evening. I hope you're well. Rodrigo says, as a Sporting fan, I can say the first games with Amram were really shaky. Ooh, he's coming out with the slander there, and it's understandable. He has a very distinct style. It's going to take a while for that to come on board. Matteo Polomanti is also in over on YouTube. Good evening. I hope you're well. And we've got DM Basis too. Crodmo is the football janitor and Batman. I'm Batman. Actually, I shouldn't do that after the last stream ended because my voice went. I should probably be a little bit careful there. So ACAP says, so are we trying the new meta and train with rest and double intensity? Now, I've got a thing to say about the new meta, because if you look at the research, what you'll actually see is that if you want the most development of players in terms of CA growth, current ability growth, then you want to be putting them on like 2 attacking, 2 defensive, 2 this, 2 that, a quickness and so forth. Generally speaking, the more intense your training session is, the more development you gain up until a certain point, and then you hit a wall. So if you have intensity above roughly the equivalent of 2.47 matches per week, that includes matches, then you don't see that, and you start to actually see a slight drop off. Eventually, if you completely and utterly burn them out, you see absolutely no benefit whatsoever. I should probably show you the information I've got for that, but in fact, do you know what? This is god awful of me, and I do apologise, but this is one of these things that I do. I have a Patreon, so did that work? It didn't work. Is it lowercase? Nope. Maybe I forgot to set that up. Aren't I good? I'm good at this thing, aren't I? So I have a Patreon which you can go over and support, and if you use the Patreon, you do get access to all the resources that I use, including a training schedule builder that I created like 3 or 4 years ago that maps out what the split of attribute development is and the intensity, and it makes sure that you can then see how you're balancing your training over the course of a week. But it's a bit too min-maxy for me. I'm not really into the min-max. Let's just have some fun. So Johnny Trotter does say that I will need a hydrate point redeem, and you are most definitely right. I will take that as a hint as well. There we go. We're gonna keep the throat lubricated today. Yeah, that's a horrible thought. So RJ says only 16 points behind first. Exactly, 16 points. That's only 5 wins. That's doable. I mean, granted, there's only 11 games left before it splits, but yeah, we can do that. So Charles says, what if Amram is really good and my tractor boys are just better? Well, like Ipswich have been really good against the teams much better than them. It feels like Ipswich play to the level of their opposition, which is a shame because they've not quite managed to pick up the points that you would have really hoped. A great result at the weekend. Obviously, you've picked up some good points here and there, but need to get a few more wins behind you. So when it comes to playing those teams that are expected to be around relegation, you need to kind of keep that level that you've managed to show against some really, really good teams this season. Isn't Liam Delap a quality player? So completely says Rodrigo, just always felt secure. That's fair. So stop patronising us indeed. Pay throne. That would be a term, yep. So Jonta says, really liked Delap last night. Got that old school feel about him and constantly causing havoc to our defence as well. Delap is a quality player. Right, here we're going in. Let's guess some random commands. I like the idea of throat lube as a command, but I don't know what throat lube would lead to. That would have to be a point redemption. And talking of point redemptions, we do have a guess the player. So let's get on over to that first. Now, for those of you guys that are relatively new or haven't seen this before, this is a very, very simple little mini game. You're going to see 5 pictures of a player's profile from Football Manager 24. First, you'll see their positions, then you'll see their attribute polygon, you'll see their scout report, you'll see their traits, and finally you'll see their career history. And your job is just to try and guess who the player is. The earlier you guess, so after fewer clues that you guess, the more points you get. And points don't necessarily mean prizes, but they do mean a spot on the leaderboard, so there's definitely something to play for. So let's head on over and give you guys the first clue. It's a right winger. A right winger with a very strong left foot. It can kind of play across many positions, so always will recommend just shouting out your guesses. Kind of helps everyone have like a vague idea of what might be going. So Crodmo's already come in with Chris Kawamia before we even started, which is on brand. I'm expecting a number of anachronistic guesses here. So Chris Norton Walker thinks it's Gael Clichy, but spelt Geel Cliche. I'd love it to be Geel Cliche. Up the tractor boys, says Mijo Defensivo, indeed. Anthony is a guess. Ahmad is a guess. I was about to say the same. Who are you going to say, RJ? And Bam Bam has come in with Anthony. Now, there is a thing here. That if you guess on the first clue, that's 5 whole points. 5 whole points because it is someone who's quick, not very good defensively. It is someone, though, who is a leading EFL Championship player. So it might be Anthony. It might be Anthony. He is probably Championship standard. But it was, in fact, Ahmad Diallo. Adam on the break FM comes in straight away with a 5-point guess. Good man. And also Amijo Defensivo came in there as well, nice and early. Congratulations, sir. There we go. After a couple of really, really tricky ones to start off with, we've got a nice easy one, a big 5-point guess. He is the man of the moment after his assist after, 81 seconds? Great work, Adam. Beautiful. It's nice when we get one that gets straight away. Good work. So, and again, good work as well to you, Mijo Defensivo, getting there. We did have Zachary Bagner. So we have Geel Cliche and Zachary Bagner. Great names. Ahmad, rigged, they say. Rigged. They're on to me. They are indeed. So, might as well now, let's get into it. Let's have a look. So we're going to start off by just popping down to the data hub. We're going to have a look at kind of things at a very, very high level regarding the team. Now, we did actually look at this a little bit on the last stream, and we can see that in terms of general performance, we're actually kind of average, which is good. We're expected to be a relegation team, so to be kind of average is really better than we expect. We're pretty much there or thereabout in terms of shot creation. Our shots on target isn't too much of an issue. Pass completion is a little bit low, but we are playing quite direct and high tempo. A little bit behind on tackles, a little bit behind on goals per game. The issues we do have here is that we're non-penalty XG. We're not actually creating good quality chances. If our shot creation here, shots per game, is average, and our non-penalty XG is below average, that suggests that actually the quality of the chances we're creating just aren't quite there. Now, part of that might be because we're going quite direct and we're getting a lot of header chances, but that's going to be something for us to look into, have a look at our chance creation and see maybe if there's some tweaks we can make there. The other issue is that we're conceding 2 goals per game. Now, our XG against is actually above average. So there is clearly an issue with the goalkeeping. And we can see here, we've got a quiet defence. That's like, in terms of Shots faced per game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're right bang in the middle in terms of shots conceded per game, but in terms of goals conceded, massively behind the curve. And that's going to be an area we really need to look into. So we do see a little bit more in terms of the attacking element here. We can see we don't dribble much. Again, we're playing quite direct. We're not really got many dribble players. That's not a concern. Our cross completion is a little bit on the low side for a team that tries to be direct. That's something that we need to look at. We're winning an above average amount of fouls. That's fine. We can certainly look into that as well. So I just see there, I knew the world class defense was not the problem. Indeed, our defense has been quite incredible, hasn't it? My word, some of the goals we've conceded this season already have been incredible. If we look at the defensive side, we did identify last stream that we are making an obscene amount of fouls. We have conceded 50% more free kicks than the second worst team. It is quite crazy. Matty Churchy 666, good evening from Hertfordshire. If you feel comfortable doxing yourself, whereabouts from Hertfordshire are you, sir? Lovely to see you in tonight. Top on clean sheets, see? we that does seem a little bit weird because we are definitely not, and that is linked to the wrong thing. There is no way that we are top on clean sheets. Let's have a look. So HJK have conceded in only 6 games, so they've kept 5 clean sheets at least. That's definitely a problem with the data provided there by FM in their thing. Now, if you do notice, there are the ones that we are apparently quite up on is this here. Possession 1, 1,118, which is 1,021.14 more than the average. And that is because what we will see is that actually that isn't the average. Stats, team detailed. Where is possession 1? Possession 1 here. So you can see that it takes for us the raw number, which is 1,118, but for all the other teams, it takes their per 90, which is one of the shames with the Data Hub, is there are quite a few little bits here and there that aren't quite perfect. And it's the same that's happened with clean sheets as well. So it's taken our raw number of 2 clean sheets over the course of the season, and it's comparing it to every other team's per 90. So we can ignore those two. We're pretty decent in terms of Opta. We seem to apply pressure pretty well, but it is again that conceded. So those are the areas that we really want to focus on. We want to focus on chance creation. We want to focus on maybe what we got in terms of our defensive positioning when it comes to shots, because XG isn't necessarily created equally. And then we'll start looking at the players as well. So let's have a look. Let's go back through a couple of games and we're going to see here. So this was a pretty decent game in terms of chance creation. That's what, 0.12 XG per chance. Closer, in fact, to 0.13. But if we have a look here, so we can see that of that, there was one big chance here. This big chance here was 0.78 XG. Everything else is quite small there. So let's have a look at all these. So the on-target ones are also saved. 3, 4, 6. And there we go. Let's have a look at what these chances were like actually in terms of quality. So I honestly think that Leicester should give Van Nistelrooy a chance. You're not the first person I've heard say that, and I find that, genuinely, I find that quite surprising. That was a decent enough chance. We didn't necessarily have much of an angle there. We will actually go behind goal for this one. We will zoom out a bit. So the shot's about to come in here. When he shoots, so the defender is blocking the angle that side. He really could only shoot at the near post. But, you know, at that kind of position, you can't really cut it back. Larson is too far forward. You really want... We would love to have someone attacking this area. Again, we're just going to swap round. So Salonen perhaps should be pushing forward. You kind of want Larson more centrally there, so that's absolutely fine. And now, was it a case of Salonen was just a little bit behind the play? No, he stops running. He stops running, so that's something we might need to find if we can get, say, a more attacking role bomb the players coming in behind to attack that area. That's one thing. That's just one. We've got a lot of goals that we're going to be looking at. Oh no, there we go. I thought it was going to show the entirety of that then. Yeah, so Van Nistelrooy, I mean, you've ultimately got to consider that Van Nistelrooy is responsible for not winning the league with PSV at a time when really they probably should have done. So that's going to hang over his head, and I'm not sure whether stylistically he'd be well suited to a relegation battle. But, you know, there's always opportunities, so we'll have a look here. So Reed's shot there. The last one from Dahlstrom, I don't mind long shots too much. It's perfectly fine. It is low XG, though. This one, I do want to look back a little bit. So again, I don't mind long shots. So it's come inside. So really, you would have liked him to have opened up his body to get the angle. I do wonder if he could have played through Lundberg. It would have been difficult. The defender was actually positioned well. If that pass comes in, the defender can stick his foot out. And that means you'd otherwise be playing it a little bit shallower, which would be behind Lundberg's run. But yeah, there's certainly something to be mindful of there. So yeah, in terms of, I'm not necessarily sure if Van Nistelrooy is the right person for Leicester, but there's a lot of shouts for it, and maybe him leaving United is the catalyst for the sacking. Maybe that's why they've let Cooper go now after all. So could well be a shout. Arjun, maybe your analyst is bad. Oh, I'd love that. I genuinely would love for there to be a difference in quality of analysis based on how good the analyst is. So the shot there, that's a really good chance. Lundberg should have scored. We're fine with that. And we can see with these other chances, they're all long ranges. And that's a free kick. That's absolutely fine. A poor workman blames his tool. Yes, I'm calling the analyst a tool. All analysts a tool. That's just a fact. Anders, cheers from Norway. Is there a training option to do sauna sessions when in Finland? Now that would be quite fun, wouldn't it? How are you? Anders? Lovely to see you in. I hope you're well. Tell me about, are you playing FM? What's going on with your save? Do let us know. I'm from Norway. Which team do you support? I would love to hear. There we go. Last of the chances here is going to be Jaden Reed. Yeah, fine. A bit wasteful, but again, as I said, I don't mind us. I think at this point of the game we did have shoot from distance on as well, so I'm not going to blame them too much, but there were a couple of opportunities where chances we could have been a little bit more considered with our approach. And here's the Wolves where we went a little bit balls to the wall at the end as well. So let's see there. RJ, maybe Johannes is bad, isn't he? Yes. Or Frank Lampard, please. Frank Lampard. Isn't he due to go to Coventry? I mean, I heard that was almost set at the weekend, and then nothing much really happened. So I don't know if that was all smoke and mirrors or whether they got some last minute doubts. Bastos Roy might be going to HSV, who also sacked their coach the other day. Interesting. So it'd be a strange move for them to appoint Rude, says FMFC. I think so too. I'm just happy Kasper Dolberg is finally showing his talent with Anderlecht. About time. Dolberg he's had a funny old career as Dolberg, hasn't he? Good to see him back in Belgium, where perhaps he's probably had the best spell of his career before, and it'd be nice to see him getting that confidence back, because it does seem to have gone pretty much. So Crubmo says, I was trying to think of the manager most likely to get Leicester relegated. I've got nothing against Leicester. Fair enough. You did the Philip Clement shout from DM Bassist is pretty awesome. So here's a chance in the 62nd minute. That's just a bad finish. That's a good quality chance. That's just wasteful. And then we have this chance. Here again, a nice long ball forward. Lundberg on his stronger foot, just doesn't quite hit it cleanly. He's not got great technique, and that's something we need to be mindful of. Maybe we do just need to find players who are better at finishing. That's this chance for Reed. We're going to cross it. It's a header. It's a header from a guy who's like 5'7". It's a low quality chance, but we do want us getting balls into the box. And then we had a chance for Olawale. They backwards. Olawale against the angle. Actually, he had quite a lot of space there. So he's already decided he's going to shoot at this point. He's winding up for it, and it's still got like 5 yards to travel, which is a shame because you kind of feel. Let's look at Jorginho. He doesn't really change his body position, so Olawale could have taken a touch to compose himself, made it a lot easier, and then taken it. So, is there an opposite to try his first time shots trait? Might be nice to put that on a couple of our players. So, Anders is a Stromsgodset set fan, Erdegaard's first club, and currently playing with Belenenses. Great shouts on both of them. I don't have the goals in here as well. We could include them in that, but we know we scored from them. I'm kind of interested in the chance that we didn't quite make. So, at the moment, what I've seen is generally bad decision making. I know that's perhaps a little bit unfair. I am ignoring the cup games because they are against much less. This is a game where we had a lot of shots. Don't worry, we won't watch all 15 of them. But 15 shots and under 1 XG is pretty poor. So we can see again, we've got one big chance there. That was worth 0.22 XG. Everything else is really bitty, and I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of shots from outside the area. Okay, not as many as I thought. Is there an in the box? No, it's just attacking half. Let's start with this crazy shot. Is that a free kick? I hope that's a free kick from that angle. Stromsgodset, I did a save for them once, says Mijo Defensivo as well. Now I watch all their games on One Football. Marvellous stuff. Isn't it great when a save really gets you invested in a team that you otherwise wouldn't have watched? Brilliant. I am still looking at these ones on the outside of the eggs. I do hate the responsiveness of this sometimes. It's another free kick. So the first one, fine to shoot from there. Here, Jala plays it to Olawale. Olawale shoots. That looks like a set routine. Don't necessarily know if the shot was right in that situation, but Answer Robin Sid is number 7. Another free kick. So this is all set piece chances so far. A fair crack. He was in space. There was an angle to shoot. This one, there's got to be no excuse for. Willan Nunes, he hasn't scored. He's barely had any shots in his time here. And this is a shot from there. That is definitely just a bad decision. I get it. We're in the last few minutes. You want to be the hero, but oh, that's horrible. So he's on 7 goals last 3 games. Salon there, it's a header. That's a fine chance, perfectly okay. So 7 goals in the last 3 games is pretty incredible. That being Dolberg, I assume. So Benjamin DeBee over in on YouTube. He's from Belgium and also supports Anderlecht. Hey, Dolberg, it's top player. He is indeed. Oh, he is once he's in form. So Anders has had a season ticket for 15 years. Support Anderlecht in Belgium too because of a mate supporting them. Been 3 times. My word, it's full of Anderlecht fans. Who would have thought? What a fabulous development. So, looking at these last couple of chances here, we've got a bevy of chances for Lundberg. There's a header at the far post. That's what he's in there to do. He's there to win headers. He's not necessarily the greatest at heading. He's got good jumping reach. He's not necessarily good at heading. So we kind of do expect that he's not necessarily going to convert all of his chances. This one there, very similar opportunity. Didn't have to twist his body quite as much. That was a good chance. And then we've got a couple here from Reitinen, which we can see here will be corners. So that's pretty clear that our chance creation there was a lot of it came from set pieces. Otherwise, there's some bad decision making, and with crosses, that's kind of one of the things that we're working towards when we have Lundberg on the pitch. And so we do know that those chances are going to be low quality. Then I'm just going to do one more game, which will be the win against Ekenas. Always good to keep an eye on the games that we won as well. So we're winless in 3 in the league, but we did beat Egnassi, who've had a pretty good start. And again, look at that, 18 shots, but under 1 XG. We might have to start working the ball into the box. Or do we? We don't need to work the ball into the box. So this is our 18 shots, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them from outside the area. And things like that one from Menquist, that one from Olawale, even this one there, these 2 central ones, they're not that far outside the box. So that's okay. Can we work out where some of the low chances were? So that's, if that line is 45 minutes, I hate the interactiveness of some of these charts sometimes. So that's going to be around the 20-minute mark. That's a really low quality chance. We've got another one here just before our goal. Our goal was scored on the 40th minute. So let's look for a chance around the 20th minute and a chance around the 40th minute. Or just before the 40th minute. So we've got these here. Not that one. That's the that was a pretty low quality chance. It is a corner. So we see we are getting a lot of set piece chances, which is great, but they're not necessarily good quality ones. That was the 38th minute. So the ones that's around 20 was this one from Dahlstrom. That's a free kick. Okay. So we can't hire a set piece coach. We have scored a lot of goals from set pieces, and that's currently under the auspices of our assistant manager, Daniel Sherland. So I am thinking that whilst I wanted to leave that with Sherland, that we might look to try and take over it so that we can maybe control the ball a little bit more from those, maybe look at ways that we can try and create set pieces that maybe yield fewer chances, but if they yield better quality chances, that could help us. We are going to keep an eye out for players' decision making when it comes to looking at the players. So let's have a look at the players. We've eventually got there, haven't we? So I lied to you, Adam, when I said that the pizza party would start at about past. It looks like it's taken until gone 7:30 to have a look at a pizza. And it's the most disappointing kind of pizza as well, because it's a green pizza. Nobody wants a green pizza. So let's have a look. Clearly they should bring MustermannFM. Why, thank you, Cocker's Melch. How are you this evening, sir? The introduction on their website will include his success in Match of the Delay. Indeed, you wait, we've got some wonderful things coming up. I'm hoping that we might actually make it to be the first game at some point, and there might be more coverage for the weirdness that's going on, because at the moment all you see via the highlights is just I play a weird formation and then I lose. So 18 highlights to watch. Yeah, we're not going to watch all the highlights, thankfully. And as Moyes is rumoured to Leicester. Now, I could certainly understand Moyes from somebody who might be able to get you organised defensively and give you a chance of staying up, but doesn't feel like the squad is built for Moyes. Adam, that's okay. The hungrier I am, the more I can eat. RJ, so who are we selling? Johnny says, did you schedule the pizza for 7:15 AM or 7:15 PM? 7:15 AM pizza sounds like a great idea. I wonder what time Domino's opens. No, I'm not going. I was genuinely considering going and ordering now, but no, we won't. So we can see here from our goalkeeper. This is Mats. Mats Riikonen has played every game because we'll just. Do we have the comparison here? Let's start off by taking a look at these guys here, and we've got a very, very high level summary of the players. We've got Mark Northquist, who's our backup. He's also one of our coaches for our youth teams. And there's a pretty good sign that if you're currently coaching whilst you're playing, it's because you're not a very good player. And you're only really still a player because we need bodies. And we can see that Northquist is, however, better when it comes to sweeping, but pretty much worse at everything else. He's not as agile. He's not got as good reactions. He's not good in terms of like his positioning. So he's not really high. He's worse in terms of agility as well. So it's kind of a very, very clear number one in that respect. But as far as number ones go, the performance doesn't look to be good, let's be fair. 34 goals conceded in 21 games, conceding 0.58 more than expected. So when he's on the pitch, we these stats about 1.04 XG against per game there, and essentially conceding an extra 50%, which isn't great. So an area that we would like to improve is goalkeeper. Now, that does mean that Reekinen could potentially be a candidate to be sold. If we could get 220k for a player, that would be amazing. We are currently $1.5 grand over our wage budget, and we were given no transfer budget whatsoever. So we need 1.5k per week is approximately 75k a year. Now, I know there's only 6 months left, but we essentially need to generate at least 75k to then be able to realistically spend any money ourselves. So Reekinen, with a lower asking price of around 220k, is definitely a candidate to be sold. He's not played well. Let's have a look here. So he signs his contract in November, so before this started, and he is a new arrival, so there might be, let's have a look here. If we try to transfer list him, he'd be happy to leave. That's good. So we're not going to do that right now. We don't want to piss him off whilst we've got games coming up. But that is... No, we just type it, don't we, and then press return. Transfers. So that's a possible move. I think we can look to move him on and maybe look at what options there are for my scouts with regards to goalkeeping. Like, he doesn't sweep particularly well. He loses the ball quite a lot. Pass accuracy 66% isn't the worst in the world. Progressive pass, he's playing it long, so there we go. So I do see, I will get back to some of the other chats as well, but JHK asks, why don't you have save percentage on the pizza chart? Because save percentage is broken. There are a number of stats that when you pull them through, they're broken. For some reason, it seems to treat save percentage additively. And so if I pull save percentage through, it will be like 2000%. Or, well, actually, no, you've not made that many saves. It'd be around like 42%, 420% even, sorry. 420, woo. So it's just a useless stat for us to have pulled through in the game. And there's a few of these. The goalkeeper stats are all quite problematic, unfortunately, which is a real shame. A broken stat in FM, says Johnny Trotter. Exactly. Colour me surprised. So RJ reckons that my goalkeepers are as bad with their feet as him. That's quite plausible, bless him. So Jonsa says he's absolutely destroying the Vegas Liga with Hacker right now. 13 wins, 2 draws and 1 loss after 16 games. Fantastic stuff. Only made 1 signing. Brilliant stuff. So Hacker, good little team there. We have them there predicted to finish 4th, so completely and utterly overperforming there. And I mean, anyone that can finish above HJK, that's a great performance there. And so did they lose the League Cup final? They did indeed. They lost it on penalties. They lost to us. More importantly, they lost the opening game of the season 4-3 to us. So I like FC Hacker. Any team that lets us win games is good, but in my books. Well, they're doing okay here. So in 5th, a little bit below what's expected. So RJ 0.58 XG prevented indeed. It is an issue there. If we have a look at our defenders, we have 3 centre backs. Can they all fit on the screen? No, they can't. That's the problem with this resolution. So we can, though, do it here, set them all to, then we can see from Reitinen, he's been a threat from set pieces. 0.11 goals is brilliant for a centre-back. But the things we care about here, 74% tackle win rate, perhaps a little bit lower than I would like. 73% header win rate, that's pretty good. I think, and when I say a little bit lower, it's probably not that much lower. You're looking at around that kind of 76, 78% to be like quite a good centre-back at a top level. So he's not doing a bad job in that respect. Stepping out quite a lot, very high pressures attempted. Now, he hasn't been playing as the stopper, so I'm a bit surprised by that. And that's something we might need to look at, maybe having him in a more, see if we can have him in a more conservative role, maybe even in cover. Because our defence has been a real issue, especially with so essentially with not engaging. So the reason why we introduced the stopper was because we were really passive. So actually maybe that's good. Maybe we need him doing that more. Possession 1, they all should be above the 50th percentile in possession 1 because we're not a particularly possession-based team. The opposition has it a lot. That means more opportunities for us to win back the ball. But what we can see here, especially, is that he's not very progressive. 3.68 passes out of 55, and you lose the ball. So maybe we want to have him on playing it a little bit shorter, maybe a bit safer in that regard. Pedro Machado now, he is not as good in the air. 64% is a concern. 71% tackles, yeah. He is doing really well in terms of ball progression. 5 from 50, that's 10% of his passes. That actually is quite encouraging. He might be good in that respect for what he's doing. Again, above average possession 1. He's stepping out as well. That's probably more what I would expect for this kind of team. And then Alvanen, the player that I have panned quite a lot this season because he looks a bit rubbish. And he's been, like, his tackling is the worst of the lot, but his heading is the best. That's something to be encouraged by. Again, he's doing pretty well in terms of progressive passes, 5 from 52, so that's probably around 9% there. Again, possession lost is pretty bad. He loses the ball more than anyone else. But there's a player there. There's someone we can use. We would definitely benefit from having somebody who is good at tackling. So with the tackle, for those that don't know, with the tackling, things like tackles, pressures, possession 1, possession loss, passes completed, especially, they're going to be reactive to how busy you are in those areas. So sometimes those don't matter as much as the percentages, which kind of give you an indicator of success rate, which arguably is going to be much more useful. So I don't really pay much attention to this other than relative. We can see that Machado is more active in tackling than the others. So it's 1.39 compared to 1.88 compared to 0.96. So I know the other goalkeeper stats are horribly broken, but you speak from a skin perspective, right? Not when looking at the player search. So yes and no. I know that they're broken for the search views as well. And with search, there are certain stats that you just can't search. It doesn't work at all. So it definitely is an issue there. But yeah, from the skin view, when you pull it through using the class that it has, it will give you completely the wrong information, unfortunately. I like the filter's name. Indeed, it is not available publicly. It breaks shit. My favorite one, actually, will it do this here? It won't. That's cool. So if I'm on a player, I switch to another one, then I hover over this. Sometimes it just randomly switches to another player, and I've never quite been able to work out why. That's my favourite bug that it causes. But we can't see international teams. We can't see our players out on loan, which is a shame. Now, this is available to Patreons. There you go, another plug, even if I haven't got the command set up correctly. So as I said, all my resources are available, so it comes with no support. Like, this version will only work at 1600 by 900. There's another version which I use for videos which only works at 2560 by 1440, because each time I have to rebuild this thing completely from scratch to deal with the dimensions, and making it adaptive to other screens is just beyond my capability. So technically it is available, but I'm asking for money and I feel quite guilty about doing that, so let's just forget I said that. Yeah. So writing in here, he's not got much, but he's playing okay. He's not got much resale value, so he's probably safe in that respect. Pedro Machado also doesn't really have a great deal of value. Now, realistically, if we were to sell one of these guys, we'd need to sell more players as well. That means more players we need to bring in. The kind of the net benefit there just doesn't really exist. And Alvanen, his contract is up at the end of the year. We can't afford to renew it, and 600 euros per week, I'm not necessarily that keen on it, even if he's done okay. So he is currently paid more than our other centre-backs, and his average rating, to be fair, is the highest of the lot, but he's the worst at tackling, and he's the most wasteful in possession. We've had Suleiman's played like half his games, 4 out of 6. He's played 6 games, but he's also got 9 appearances. I love this sometimes. So he's kind of split between both defensive midfield and centre-back. That makes it very difficult to really assess here, but we can see that his headers 1 ratio is quite low. He's only 5'8", Now, a 5'8" centre-back is always going to struggle in the air, let's be fair. His head is one, even when playing in defensive midfield. So that's really, we can't really consider him as a centre-back, I think, going forwards, even though he's played most of his games there. Did I really play him 4 times and he's 5'8"? To be fair, most of our players are a bit rubbish. He is what the game calls average at jumping. So between 6 and 10 at heading. He's got decent pace and decent aggression, but maybe it's because he can't pass, which is why he's chosen for defensive midfield, defenders over defensive midfield. So we've got Chukwuemeka Okereke. He's played mainly in defensive midfield, occasionally defensive centrally. He's again a little bit undersized, but again we've got this issue where because he's split between 2, you kind of get a funky pizza chart. He's been okay in the air, playing primarily in defensive midfield. Not particularly good at tackling, so he's not going to solve any problems for us in that respect. We have Fonsel here, has played exclusively as a defensive midfielder. Oh, and once as a wing-back. Now, he's 6'2", so you'd think that potentially he could play and do something in that respect, but not particularly good there. His header-1 ratio is 47%. And again, remember, that's when he's not playing in defence, so arguably challenging in easier circumstances. So he isn't really a potential solution at centre-back either. As a defensive midfielder, he's kind of been okay. He's seen quite a lot of the ball and he's been safe with it relatively. And that's kind of what we want from a ball winner. We want someone who's safe, and his 96% tackle win rate is incredible. Considering he's played 1,000 minutes, like this isn't a small sample size. Mikel Fonsel as a ball winner has kind of been okay. Now I say okay because if we think of, oh, I've revealed a possible new tactic. If we have a look here, the ball wing midfielder looks to engage. We're expecting him to pressure and harass. And generally speaking, if you're pressuring and harassing, you're not the one that then wins back possession. You might make the tackle, which is good, but it'll be someone else who then comes and sweeps up. So I would really expect my ball winning midfielders to be more active when it comes to pressures attempted than it is to possession won. And in that respect, like, he's not good at either of those. So maybe we look at him as maybe more of an anchor, something a little bit more relied upon to make those last-ditch tackles and to kind of move laterally and cover areas rather than push forwards and engage. So that's my thinking there with Michael Fonsel. So Ease Off Tackle says, girlfriend just bought me up fajitas for tea. What an excellent day. What an excellent day indeed. I want fajitas. I very much... No, we don't have anything that would deliver fajitas here. There's a thought. Fajitas. RG says, yeah, I asked him the other day, but it breaks the game. It does indeed. If I was a pedant, I'd point out you spelled publicly wrong on the name of your filter. Fortunately, I'm not a pedant. I wouldn't expect anything less than you. I know I spelt it wrong here, but I keep on forgetting. Do you know what? Okay, here we go. Here's a bit of live skinning. There we go, sir. We've changed it for you. So, pay trillions, indeed. Pay millions. Ah, pity, I'm playing 320 by 240. I'd love to see the game on 320 by 240. That'd be incredible, eh? Yeah, 96% tackle 1 is okay. 96% is brilliant. You'll be fed up with them in a few weeks. The Christmas tree formation is still there, kinda. We did mess around a little bit there, but we've still kind of got that Christmas tree thing. We tried that last one and go there, but there is a possible 4-4-2 and a possible 4-3-3 depending on what we assess as we go through. Live skinning, indeed. I'm like Buffalo Bill. Yay, spelling accuracy. Got to be careful with the Twitch guidelines. Indeed we do. Indeed we do. So, Jiri Nissinen has not had much game time. He spent some time injured. He's a right back that's not particularly good going forwards in terms of his attributes, but he's okay defensively. But because we've been trying to squeeze players like Olawale and Reed in, they've generally found themselves out on the right midfield. But Nissinen here has been okay. Like, he's in the 75th percentile for dribbles, 95th percentile for expected assists, which is sensational. It's 90, 80, 70th percentile for dribbles. I do apologise. 95th for expected assists. Considering that's not meant to be his strengths, I think we've got something here that we can actually make use of. Defensively, 74. So fullbacks tend to win tackles at a higher rate. About 80% is good. So his 74% is worse than Patrick Weisslin's 74%, but not that awful. A fullback winning about more than half his headers is pretty decent. He is helping us press. So those things are, generally speaking, they're okay. Definitely something we can work around, that's for sure. And then Enquist on the other side. Enquist is a player that we need to play a little bit more because we made a promise to play youngsters. I made a promise to play youngsters. What I didn't realise was I was actually specifically making a promise to play young left wing backs. So Danville Enquist kind of has to play as our only left wing back, and hope that him being 22 is enough of a reason to pass that promise. But he again, he's not been very dribbly, which is fine. He's not got the greatest attacking profile attribute-wise, but really, really good in terms of expected assists. He is creating chances for others, and that's something we can certainly work around. Tackling slightly better, up at 76%, and again, really, really helping in the pressure side of things. So I like that with the Christmas tree, the 3-4-2-1, the 3-4-1-2, whatever we do there. If I've got two wing backs who can really be active in the pressing game, that's pretty good. Now, I am going to get to your question in a moment, Juan Perez, but we are about to hit a break. And that means I go on a break as well, unfortunately. I like to stretch my legs. I like to poison my lungs with my vape. I like to remember to drink some drink, and maybe even see if I can work out how to update the leaderboard live as we go. So what that means is we'll be back in about 4 minutes. And when we're back, we're going to be playing a round of Only Connect. Marvellous. So yeah, just a few moments. I'd love you guys to stick around and, maybe do the same. Go stretch your legs, go empty your bladder. And we will see you in about 4 minutes. And we're back. And the answer to can I update the scoreboard in time is no. No, I can't. I got very, very confused with all the little images I had and trying to arrange it. So unfortunately, that will probably be for next stream. I'll have to work that one out, won't I? The details are the things that are important. Anyway, we're back, so let's play a round of Only Connect, wonderfully redeemed by RJ13, you gentlemen, sir. So, if anyone isn't familiar, these are the rules. You will see 4 pictures, one at a time, each of different players. There is a connection between all 4 players, and it's your job to guess what it is. You'll see a picture one at a time, and the earlier you manage to work out the connection, the more points you get. And this is awful because, you know, the leaderboard hasn't been updated in time, so maybe if we're lucky we can get updated before the end of the stream, and then you can see where that puts you overall. That's a pretty simple, and again, the same thing as when you see a picture and you know who it is, shout it out, pop it down in the chat. Let's try and help one another to get to the answer, even if there are points at stake. And so this time, our very first clue is this gentleman here. Now, the clue might be that they've all played with the same player, or they've all played for the same team, or maybe they've got something a little bit more abstract. So we'll see there. They've got RJ. RJ has been bold. He's gone for a guess before a picture was revealed, and he's gone for they all have 6 toes on the left foot. So close, RJ. It's 6 toes on the right foot. No, it isn't that at all. So Quadmo has correctly identified that this is Mario Mandzukic. And Cockoops Melch believes that all 4 look like they're constipated. He does look a little bit constipated. And I mean, look, if you're in the middle of the game, you gotta hold things in, isn't it? So all named after video game characters. Mario, I see what you're going for there. Now that's a nice guess. Ease Off Tackles reckons they've scored a bicycle kick. That's quite possible. I don't know if all the players have scored a bicycle kick. It is quite plausible, but it's not that. So Crodmo's saying they've all scored a goal and an own goal in the World Cup final. Now that is a pretty good guess. It's not quite right, but that is a very good guess. Scored the winner in a game that's knocked England out of a major tournament. So we've definitely got an international theme coming through here indeed. Scored in Champions League final, says Lewis over on YouTube. Again, another good guess, not quite there. All 4 played for Wolfsburg. That's not right, but that's a very good guess there indeed. And they've all scored in a final where they lost. That is also another good guess, and that is quite possible. I think the next clue might very much help you guys. There's certainly some ideas that are coming out that I think are really, really good here. RJ has guessed that they played for 2 teams in the same city. I love that guess. Some rivalry moves, that would be good. It isn't unfortunately, but that's a fine guess. So who have we got here? So Ease Off Tackles has come in and said, scored in the 2018 World Cup final. You are very, very, very close, Ease Off Tackles. There was a slightly specific element to this. And I think that if you guys piece together what's already been answered, you're kind of going to get there. So RJ's come in, he's said that it is Griezmann. It is indeed Griezmann. The wonderful Antoine Griezmann. So Coco smashes the top 4 scorers of the 2018 World Cup final. Indeed, they did all score. Now, that game, there was 5 goal scorers, I believe, in the 2018 World Cup final, unless I'm mistaken. Let's just have a double check here. If I've got it wrong, there were indeed 5 goal scorers in the World Cup final, and it'd be a little bit unfair of me to do a grouping of 4 that then excludes a player. So it's a very good. So Dan Lewis said it before me. He says scored in Champions League final. It wasn't scored in Champions League final, Puglia. So you're still in the game, still got a chance to guess. But you guys are remarkably close, and after Crodmo was being pedantic earlier, you may accuse me of pedantry here. You may accuse me of pedantry here. And that means that Ease Off Tackles has jumped in, and he said that they all scored for France in the 2018 World Cup final. And see, Paul Pogba did score for France in the 2018 World Cup final. And Kylian Mbappe scored for France in the 2018 World Cup final. Because that is indeed the correct answer. France's 2018 World Cup final scorers. Mario Mandzukic opened the goal scoring with an 18th minute own goal. Griezmann from the penalty spot. And then Pogba and Mbappe in the second half on course to a 4-2 win. Fantastic work, Ease Off Tackles. A round of applause to you indeed. And whilst we do that, I will go to my magic little sheet and get that all added in. A fabulous 3 points your way, sir. Wait, there's a World Cup in 2018? There was a World Cup in 2018. There was indeed. Are you Croatian RJ just trying to forget about it? So let me run back and we'll pop back over to where we were going through the players. But let me just catch up a little bit on some of the chats. I know that Juan Perez asked a question that I need to get to at some point. So Johnny had said there's more than one way to skin a skin. There is indeed. This is why I have a beard. Underneath the beard is just raw like vessels and subdermis, because I have to hack it off to make the skin. Grim stuff. So Ease Off Tackle says, as long as your new system has a Raumdeuter, I'll be content. RJ wants a Regista. We will definitely have neither a Raumdeuter or a Regista with this team. Musterman, so this is the question from Juan Perez. I have a question. I'm a big fan of your content, and I've been trying to make a 3-2-5 tactic with 3 strikers and 2 wingers. Any suggestions? Thanks. And Quadmo says, 3-2-5, are you quite mad? A big team in Argentina used to play like that back in the 40s. Johnny Trotter recommends trequartistas. Ease Off Tackle suggests fullbacks win tackles at higher rate. Have you watched the match engine? My fullback wins the ball with a slide tackle. It goes straight back to the winger. Okay, we'll get to that bit in a moment. So, yeah, I don't doubt that there were some big teams in Argentina that used to play like that back in the 40s. Unfortunately, modern football has changed a little bit, so you're always going to struggle with a 3-2-5 tactic with 3 strikers and 2 wingers. Realistically, you are bypassing your midfield entirely, so you're probably going to want a system that gets the ball forwards quickly. So either you're looking at direct passing, you're looking at higher tempo. You probably need some form of target forward up there so that you can do distribute to target forward, because if you try and build up from back or move progressively, you're going to need to ask those guys in the 3 and the 2 to play in very aggressive roles, and that's going to leave you super exposed. So yeah, generally my recommendation would be look to bypass the midfield completely. If you are insistent on playing a 3-2-5, you've got to think about how you're going to protect yourself when you lose the ball, and that means that 3-2 really needs to be quite safe by comparison. It would be funny to try to put it in nowadays football, most definitely. So, Ease Off Tackles. Fullbacks win tackles at a higher rate. Yes, they do. I do. Let me... okay. Do apologise, I'll talk through this code. I'm just going to open a spreadsheet that I have that has a breakdown of the percentiles for tackle win rate and header win rate. To be above the 50th percentile, so that's above average. Fullbacks is 80.92% tackles. Centre backs is 79.64%. Central midfielders, defensive midfielders, 77.27%. Attacking midfielders is actually higher. It's 81.68%. They are the best tacklers in a team. And strikers, it's 77.88%. Then if you're wanting to know for headers as well, for fullbacks, it's 60%. For centre backs, again, we're talking the 50th percentile here. That means that is the point that would put you above the exact average. Right in the middle there. Not the exact average, the exact person in the middle. You will be better than more than half the players in the football world. Fullbacks, 60% headers. Centre backs, 70% headers. 71% headers. Round up. Central midfielders, 46%. Attacking midfielders, 25%. Strikers, 36% header win rate. So those are kind of the notion that we have in our head of what we're looking at. Now you might be saying, Musterman, where can I get that information? And it'll be something I'll probably publish in some point in the near future, because I only actually worked it out myself this morning. Partly for the Dortmund video, as I'm working on some slightly new graphics for things there. So Crodmo Prodmo wants 5 trequartistas and roaming playmakers. La Machina, a big team. Oh, wait, you're talking about the team. Yep, so prepare for after break. Fast. Instructions unclear. Took a leak on my chair, says Cockroach Melch. I wouldn't have necessarily said that's a bad thing, you know, as long as you can clean it up afterwards. Maybe get one of those commodes, you know, with a hole in it, so you don't have to move from your chair. Oh, that's a horrible thought. So what vape liquid have I got, Senior Musterman? Well, today I'm being very, very boring. I am running with lemon tart. Before that, I had blood orange and guava. Don't smoke or vape, kids. It's all bad. Don't smoke these things. Stay by the classic Marlboro. Indeed. And we are finally up to date there. So I do apologise there. I was trying something more obtuse as a MustermannFM quiz. Yeah, I tried to balance it up between the tricky and the not necessarily easy. That wasn't an easy clue to get, but certainly a little bit more straightforward in that respect. So no Belgian, says RJ. Indeed. Cockus Mayosh, if one nation is allowed to forget that World Cup, it's probably Germany. I mean, I don't want to rain on your parade, Cockus Mayosh, but like, we've got Belgians in the chat, we've got English people in the chat. No one's ever going to feel sorry for Germany in not having a good World Cup. We've got so many people here that have never experienced World Cup success that I'm sure such a suggestion runs deep. Yonsa says, utter woke nonsense. My goalie in the hacker save is injury prone. It's already on his 5th injury of the season. That is horrible. You need a new goalkeeper. So ease off tackles, false 9, deep line forward, poacher, and defensive wingers if that counts as wingers. So that could certainly work in terms of maybe trying to get players to drop in and bridge those gaps between the two units. Lewis, have a good stream. Got to head, unfortunately. Heading to Bruges for Circle, playing Love at Hearts. Marvellous. Well, I hope you have an awesome time. I hope it's a really, really good game, obviously. And that probably means that you'd want Hearts to win. But given that you know it's an away game, just a nice, entertaining match might be the best hope out there. So Walid is in over on YouTube. Good evening, Walid. How are you? So this is the content I came for. Musterman reading out a series of percentages. It's on brand. That's one thing we can say. That's definitely the kind of thing you'd expect from me, eh? Without showing the spreadsheet to maximise try hard. Well, no, it's just because I don't have the... So a little bit here with like technical boring stuff. We have this set up with a number of scenes that I can flick between. And I don't have something set up to be able to flick to that scene with it all not breaking and doing that on the fly. I'm a Luddite, I'm old, I'm going to get it wrong. So I didn't expect to be calling that information up because I'd worked on it quite late, and then obviously as soon as the day finishes, I'm coming into the stream and preparing graphics and stuff. So I just don't have it set up, I'm sorry. He's a pro, got to hand it to him. I love lemon flavoured liquid, lemon and lime, etc. Currently rocking lychee ice though. Nice. That's true, reminds of me seeing all the young fans who are United, Liverpool, Arsenal fans complaining about how hard life is. Mate, try being a Palace fan. An okay result on the weekend. I mean, it's been a tough start, so at least you picked up points. Probably should have won the game. Obviously, I'm delighted you didn't. But how do you feel after the weekend, Lewis? Crowdmike or Everton, indeed. So, ease off tackles. I was in Hamburg when Fulham lost the Europa League final to an offside Diego Forlan goal. Still gives me nightmares, and I was only 8 at the time. That is character building stuff. You've got to learn the hard way there, don't you? And so for Verde says, have you seen Zealand's video on YouTube about training? Blew my mind. Chinese work well done. You're not going to like me saying this, so I apologise in advance. But this is the problem with people who don't understand data making statements about bad tests. So the test is fine. Like the test is kind of fine. It looks to establish what is the most efficient way to train. There's nothing wrong with that. And some of the methodology is fine. It seems like he's monitoring the average growth of CA in specific areas. The choice of schedules is very weird. It's all over the place and doesn't actually give you a proper idea, because it's very much centered on this idea that the only thing he wants to know is how to improve acceleration, pace, and jumping reach. And so all those schedules are built around that prospect entirely. Yet the choice of individual schedules, let's pop on over here. Let's create a new schedule from blank. So the way that schedules work here is we've got all these schedules we can pick from. And when we pick from them, it increases the intensity, the condition, my unsteady hands there. So it impacts your intensity, your injury risk, your condition, your fatigue, your sharpness, your happiness. Intensity is the key bit. Intensity is the bit that relates to how much of an impact it has on a player's development. So in this particular situation, we've got an intensity there, and that doesn't really tell us much. This should, though. This will tell us it's 24% of match intensity. And this is the way that the game measures all of the training sessions. So a match would be considered as 1 intensity. Overall will be considered 0.24 match intensity. And from that 24% of intensity, it impacts all these areas. Mentality, passing style, creative freedom, triggered press, marking, tempo, width, possession, role, duty. So that's around your tactical familiarity. And then for your attributes, we've got all these attributes. It's an overall session, so it basically touches every single attribute there or thereabouts. Liam, by the way, thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated. Now, there's no obligation to chat, but if you do, I'd love to know who you support and who you're currently playing as an FM. If you're playing, please do let me know. But again, no obligation. So naturally, what will happen is if you have a lot of sessions that spread the training out across multiple attributes, you're going to see very, very small changes in many areas. And what they've done is they've identified that if you want to focus purely on your physicals, so your quickness, your pace, your acceleration and jumping reach, you can use something like the quickness, which only focuses on acceleration, agility and pace. Now it's also a super intense schedule. We can see this is about 45%. It is 45%. Boom, I remember these correctly. So that session is twice as intense and also focuses on only 3 attributes. But what comes with that intensity is that you're still working the players hard and you're not getting a rounded profile. And so the Chinese test you can see is that if you want to develop just those 3 attributes, you want to put quickness and you want to put match practice. Now, why match practice? Match practice seems like a bit of a surprise one, doesn't it? Because it's a very, very intense session. That's 40%. I'll just show you again that that's 40%. There we go. And attribute-wise, it attacks individual roles. Now, if you don't set them in individual role, but you set them on additional focus, that will focus on their additional focus there. And that grew, on average, players by about 3.28 CA, but all focused in in 3 areas, right? Whereas it also showed that if you had a balanced schedule that mixed through some of these schedules that touch on more of them, and it's about 9 schedules a week, the most effective one increases CA by about 25 points per season. So you were putting in basically 3 times the schedule to receive 8 times the growth, and yet people are coming away saying, all you need is just quickness and match practice. That's a bad conclusion. Sure, you might want to prioritize just the physical side of things, and especially for young players, maybe whilst they're more malleable and they're more adaptable to taking on changes physically, you want to focus on that respect there, but you're going to struggle. Mr. Chris, Oyster, the Big C, you gentlemen, you absolute gentlemen. I so very much appreciate the Prime sub. You are an absolute diamond. So yeah, when we we actually look at it, there is literally a viewable difference in how much impact training has. And it all comes down to intensity. The more intensity you put, generally speaking, as long as you've got a rounded profile, the more impact you're going to have over a player's development. And you want rounded players because whilst, yes, the meta is pace, acceleration, jumping reach, sure, you can create a super team that way, like you would with if you want to min-max any game, but you're going to end up with really, really weird, boring football. It's just going to be the same thing over and over again where there is no quality. It's just a case of rush. And that's cool, that's fine. That's how some teams play in real life. But if you want to actually develop players and make players to be as good as they can be overall, then you need a more rounded approach to it. Now, when we did those, when I did all the data for Moneyball Clinic and stuff, and there's a TikTok out there somewhere, but the top goal scorers, none of them had above 15 pace, acceleration, or jumping reach. Although they might have had above 15 on jumping reach on some. The top 10 goal scorers in all of the top 30 leagues, none of them were quick. The top assisters, none of them were quick or strong. They were all players that were really, really good technically and mentally. I can't remember who was top, but Modric was like second. And so if you're the kind of person who wants to play with the game with, like, say, the default tactics, the tactics that come with the game, you're going to be much better off using a rounded schedule and creating players who are good technically and mentally as well as physically. I bet you didn't expect that long of an aside. I told you wouldn't like it. Sorry. So let me just squeeze back to where that was. That was for Verde. I do apologise. We went off on a rant there, didn't we? So I can cancel that now and we can pop back here. Should have won, but I'm not going to complain about points against UCL teams. That's fair. That's fair. That EFL one was absolutely incredible. The EL Europa League one, like, Fulham have had some amazing periods, and I think things are going to look pretty good with Marco Silva. I know it's been a bad result of the weekend, but Fulham are looking good. So here's Matías Sajala. Matías Sajala has been pretty decent. Look at that, he's winning his tackles. He does not challenge for headers at all. He's 5'6", he's in midfield, that's fine. He's been really good at winning back the ball. So we mentioned this in the last stream. He is a player that's not particularly good at defending, but he has actually been really, really impactful for us in terms of the stats. So he's probably going to have much more of a role to play for us. But look at that asking price, 375k. My only concern here, is he's one of the players that we gave a new contract to. The idea being is that we gave him that contract because we thought, right, after this season, we can sell him for decent money. We basically lock him down so that we can increase his value as much as possible to sell him at a later date. Right now, I kind of wouldn't mind selling him. Because a player who we didn't give a new contract to Dahlstrom, right? So Dahlstrom might be a player we'd be able to sell. But his value is only 90k. And realistically, we need more than that. Managed to mute the mic in time. B. Now, Dahlstrom only has 3 assists, only generated 2.78 XA, which actually only 2.7, it's pretty decent. 0.18 expected assists has been good. I love that he's doing really well in terms of dribbling. That's going to help us move between those lines, which is something we've struggled with otherwise. He's doing pretty well in terms of the ball winning. Dahlstrom has been as good as I expected him to be, even if it's not necessarily shown up in terms of like goals and actual assists. I would have hoped for more assists overall. So ease off tackles was at every home game that season. Behind the goal for the Juventus game. If we had held on, the butterfly flick could have been huge. That would have been incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Scary Salmon here has split his time between like the defensive midfield and the attacking midfield. And we can see that he's doing really well in terms of goal scoring output. As an attacking midfielder, he's not necessarily that good at like the dribbling and the creativity side of things. As a defensive midfielder would be good. So He doesn't help us tackle, he doesn't help us win headers. For someone who's played quite high up, he's not been particularly good at pressures either. But he's been okay on the ball. So I think that Salonen is a player that actually isn't as good as I feel like he's been. He's scored 4 goals for us, and that has probably elevated him in our opinion when his actual performance hasn't necessarily all round been good. Now his contract expires in less than 6 months. He signed out his contract before the game started, so maybe we look at trying to sell him. His contract is up, so if we transfer this, someone's going to come in and swoop in on a free transfer, right? And then we can try and sell him now. But realistically, at 16k, bottom end of his value, his sell now price is going to be low, so we might as well just let him stick around. Emmanuel Patout has not played enough because he kept on getting injured. He is worth a lot of money though. 180k could solve a lot of our problems. Let's have a look at his contract. His contract started before the game started, 18th of the 12th, so he might not be open to leaving. Yeah, he's only just signed recently, so maybe as we get into July and the window opens, I'll see if that changes. But he's not been able to get onto the pitch because of injuries. He's under contract for 18 months, and he's got a pretty decent value. I think he might be our best chance of being able to buy players. So that Devaney guy was very good against us. Big future, I reckon. Yeah, great for him to score. Absolutely awesome. Yep, looked very handy. We've always done well with our youngsters to Celestian in response. Good that Glasnow's giving them some proper time, which is nice. Like, that's especially for outside of, say, like the top 3 or 4 clubs who will obviously love to see their young players coming through as well, but outside like the really, really big clubs, kind of the thing that you want to see more than anything else is like the local talent coming through and becoming legends. So it is nice to see that Crystal Palace have had a number of players coming through in the last few years. Cockroach Smash, I guess one thing both of our fan bases have in common is disliking Felix Magath. Oh, poor old Felix Magath. He used to be quite good back in like the early 90s. Leo Anderson also hasn't played much at all. We apparently don't pay him a wage, so we're not going to extend his contract because that will stop him from being free. And subsequently, because we don't pay him a wage, he has no value, so we're kind of stuck with him. We can't really make any assertions of 125 minutes. Robin Sid. Robin Sid, we signed on a new contract back in January, February, March, and he's been shit. We haven't got a tune out of him yet. He just hasn't fit in with what we're doing, so that's something we like. Look, there is so little that we can gather. He does dribble, but not much. He's not creating chances. He's not getting into shooting positions, and therefore he's not scoring. He's not really helping tackle or press or win headers. The only thing he does is keep the ball safe. That is literally the only thing he does. And my guessing is that potentially the last refuge we have is trying him out as a winger. And whether he gets in the squad ahead of Olawale is another matter altogether. But yes, Sid has been a problem. We've just signed him to a new contract, so we can't sell him. That's a bugger. That's something we really, really hope in the second half to be able to get something out of him for the second half of the season. But RJ says 45% on only 3 attributes. Of course, it's faster than 24% on all. Exactly. So here's Adam Larson. Adam Larson is our second top scorer. Third top scorer, because we've got a joint first top scorer. And now, he is a striker, but we've played him quite a lot out on the left. I'd love to see him up front a lot more, because he's got 5 goals despite taking very, very few shots per game. He is massively outscoring his XG, so if we can get him into shooting positions more often, we're certainly going to benefit. Now, these things are going to be because, as an attacking midfielder, he's more in this respect here, and he's not been wasteful with the ball. So I think that we can see from this we need to be getting him in goal-scoring positions. That's probably my key takeaway. Jalen Reed has played mainly behind the striker, a couple of times up front. He's not carrying the ball much, but he's also doing really well from goals. Now, he is shooting a lot, so we're not necessarily going to see an improvement in his output if we put him up front, for example. So I'm kind of quite happy that what we want from him is a player who's running from deep, taking those shots. I would like to see him dribbling more. He's not got the greatest first touch. He's also not got the greatest off the ball. And so I don't want to rely on his movement creating chances for him. I want to rely on the fact that he can dribble and use his pace to kind of get in behind. That's what I would hope for there. Now, Tehe Olawale has been brilliant. I've been really, really happy with him. He has played mainly as a wing-back. So if we look at him from this spec, he's winning his tackles, 91% tackle win rate, winning his headers, 71% tackle win rate. And obviously, because he's not actually a wing-back, he's really impacting things in the attacking third. He doesn't help with pressing or possession run, though, and that's a work rate issue. And so maybe we do need him further up the pitch, because even though he wins the tackles, he's not doing enough of the stuff. That's something to consider. Arvid Lundberg is now 18. He's turned 18. He can buy drinks. So let me just, I do try to catch up. So Chris said it took a while to take me. You thought there'd be a song. There isn't a song. There is some iconic commentary instead. Johnson says, I really like that Agbinone kid for Palace when he got his chance. Caused more trouble in about 7 minutes than the rest of the team in 90. Liam is pleased with the insight. Thank you very much, sir. Ease is off to do the washing up. Oh no, I suppose that's fair. You've just been bought burritos. Was it tacos? Or was it quesadillas? You've just been bought Mexican food. Reasonable to have to do the washing up. Ajala, 8% header 1, right? Yeah, he's a little boy, 5'6". Johnny Trusser says Gesundheit and hydrate. There is a good, yeah. Lestry asks, who is my most dribbly of boys? It's got to be Olawale, right? 1.83. Jaden Reed also 1.83. Adam Larson 2.12. Sid 1.89. It's going to be the fullbacks here. Potentially 1.87 from Nissanen. It's not going to be the strikers. So our dribbliest of boy is Adam Larson, who is meant to be our star player, really. So that makes sense. So do people in Mariehamn talk Swedish or Finnish? Liam, they speak Swedish. In the game, they speak both. Okay. In real life in Mariehamn, they speak both as well. But Swedish is the official language. So that's what we kind of expect. Oh, by the way, Sergio Philippe Vale and Taklachi31. Thank you very much for the follows. I hope you're both doing well. Okay, so I believe I did see that there was a couple of words in there potentially from Sergio. Did I see his chat? No, I didn't. I lied. I apologise. No obligation whatsoever to chat. But if you feel like it, I'd love to know about like your save, what you're doing at the moment, like who do you support? Let us know or don't. Entirely up to you. So thank you for your answer. Yep. So for that, I appreciate that's not going to be a popular answer. Everyone loves to claim things are broken, but sometimes it requires just understanding actually what's going on a little bit more. And that's not on you whatsoever. That's on people that put out videos when either you get two things that happen. Either three things that happen. You get people who are told a thing and they just repeat what they're told. And that will be the video. It'll be like, okay, I've been told this thing is broken. Look, they say it's broken and they're saying it's broken. And that's naive at best. I feel like as a creator, it is on us to do research and make sure that we understand what we're then talking about and professing to the popular, to the wider range of people. Now, then there's also people who look at information, look at data, they don't understand it and they just get it wrong. Again, can't be too critical of that. You get it wrong, you get it wrong. If you came from it from the right position, that's absolutely fine, but maybe you should do your research and verify what you're saying before you then go out and say it. And then there's the videos which know that it's wrong, but love the clickbaitiness of it. I have a bit more contempt for those people, but hey, it's a game. Like that's what content creation is. it's all about, for a number of people, it's all about getting the views and being able to play the algorithms and whatnot. And so, you know, fair play if that does it. I'm not saying, I have a feeling that Sealand personally was in the first group that he was told it was broken. He read it, he read the thing and it says it's broken. And so he then told people it's broken. And I say, sometimes it just needs a little bit more understanding in there. And Sealand, I've met Sealand. He's a smart, lovely, personable guy. That isn't a knock on him whatsoever. But I would have expected him to have been able to notice some of those things. So RJ wants me to sell Emmanuel Petit. I want to sell Emmanuel Petit as well. It's just whether he will want to. We might need to get until it's more than 6 months since he signed his contract. I like your DNA of work rate. So yes, we haven't set a DNA yet realistically, and anything with selectors always defaults to the last one. So when we eventually get round to having a proper identity, we'll get there. Oh, Crodmo is off. Enjoy five-a-side, dude. I assume you're already gone, but thank you very much for dropping by. So Daysat Verici asks, hey Musterman, have you ever used FM Day Club? And now you will be Taklachi31, who's come into Twitch as well to ask the exact same question. I haven't used it. It's lovely work. The guy has done really, really good job. I don't really need to use it because I can analyze here, and I prefer, my whole thing is actually to try and avoid going external to Football Manager as much as I can, even if it does mean that I'm just never actually getting any further with this stuff here. So it's a brilliant tool, definitely worth checking out, guys. If you haven't, it allows you to export a whole load of data from your saves and then look at their attributes for scouting and look at their stats for scouting. It's really, really lovely website, very slick, looks really nice, but I don't need it. So from that respect, brilliant work, but just not for me. Also, a coach for Leicester, Sergio Conceição, could be funny. Have I missed something there? Oh, a coach for Leicester, Sergio Conceição. Do you think Conceição would go to Leicester? That would be one hell of a coup for them. So yeah, we were on Lundberg. Arvid Lundberg is scoring around what we expect him to score. 0.49 goals, 0.46 xG. He's winning a phenomenal amount of headers. That's brilliant. That's kind of what we want to see. He's getting a reasonable amount of the ball. And so his possession lost and possession won stats kind of okay. He's not prolific. He's not going to be a superstar in that respect, but he's only 18 and he's definitely doing what we want of him. He's going to miss chances because headers are lower quality chances than most shots on your feet. So that's fine. Oh, is it fine? Because right, so Lundberg is, whatever happens, Lundberg is still doing really well for an 18-year-old striker. However, I do remember one of his goals. But where was it? Was it this one? Was it the winner? Was it the winner against Larty? Now, if this is the goal that I think it was relatively low XG. So the winning goal was took us from 2.54 XG oh, why isn't it right? Okay. This was the winning goal. It had low XG. So it's unfair to take away anything because he still scored the chance. But we saw that with an XG. We maximise here. Oh, wait a second. We're the bottom one. We went from 0.84 to 1.01. That was worth 0.17 XG. So there is a goal that is massively in his favour. So he's probably a little bit under his non-penalty XG for every other chance that's been there. And then finally, Willie Nunes has struggled tremendously. He's averaging 2.16 shots per 90. He's only getting 1 in 5 of them on target. He hasn't scored yet. the average chance quality is under 0.1, which is a little bit worrying. He has been okay in terms of expected assists. So he is at least aware of his surroundings, which is nice, but he's not really been able to impact the game at all. And realistically, if we can sell players, maybe bring a couple in, we will be looking to push him out on loan, because we do have hope that he could be a good player. It's a lot to put on his young shoulders. He's 6 foot. I have a feeling he might have grown as well. I think he was a little bit shorter, so 6 foot is quite okay, but he's obviously not particularly good in the air. He doesn't have the strength or the balance to play as a more like target manny type guy. But I am intrigued to see that he's done okay in terms of chance creation. So all in all, I think realistically, we would love to sell Robin Sid, but we can't. We are unlikely to be able to, as he only signed a contract 3 months ago. We'd like to sell Emmanuel Petit. He signed a contract 6 months ago. He's not keen on leaving, but maybe when we get to the transfer window, which opens in July, Wednesday, 10th of July, maybe when we get close to that, he might be willing to leave. Ajala we can't sell. Sebastian Dahlstrom we potentially could sell. He's been quite good for us. 90k, I mean, realistically, we'd need to be getting bids, high bids. We need to be getting close to that 200k for him if we are to consider selling. And Matthias Räikkönen is almost certainly someone we will sell if we can get buyers. His value is really high and he's been pretty awful. Now, in terms of needs, we lack fullbacks. So we've got Nissinen, we've got Enquist. They're both doing okay. That's something that we can be really, really encouraged by. When we play with a back five, Olawale has been really, really good as a wing back, but I prefer him higher up. So that's an area we want to address. We've got 3 centre backs. Not really. Oh, sorry. Kerake is another player that we might look to sell. He's got good value there. We could do with another centre back at least. So if we consider Alvanen as potentially cover at left back, we might not necessarily need to sign a second left back, but we do need cover at right back, and we could do with a better third defender for centre back. But that's probably a want rather than a need. In defensive midfield, Fonsel has been. I told you it does this when you hover over. I think it's one of those. When you hover over one of those, it then changes to a random player. It's chosen Olawale. So Fonsel, really good at winning back the ball. That's pretty encouraging. Ajala, really good at winning back the ball. Sebastian Dahlstrom, good at winning back the ball and good at creating chances. So we have 3 players for a double pivot or central midfield there, which is something we can certainly build around. That means that Suleiman we're not going to get any money for, so he probably still stays around. But Salonen is a player we could let go if we can get any value for him. Patut is a player we'll let go if we can get him to agree to it. Leo Anderson stays around because we're paying him no wages. And then in these positions, Robin Sid has not been good enough. That's a dilemma for us. Larson we want to get up front. Arvid Ludenberg's been okay up front. Jalen Reed playing behind the striker. Olawale we'd like to play behind the striker. So if I was to be very, very realistic, we would like a right back. We have 3 players for these roles, so we're kind of okay there. We really only have 2 players, 3 if we included. I'd like to improve what we've got here, or potentially here. So if we consider the front line as all of these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we've got 6 for potentially 3 positions. But Willie Nunes we want to loan out. Robin Sid's been a little bit rubbish, so I'd like to have an improvement there, whether that's an attacking midfielder, which would be the preference, or a striker, which might be easier to find. That doesn't matter too much. So yeah, goalkeeper, right back, centre back, striker. Can you believe we've got that? It's only taken us nearly 2 hours to even look at players that we could potentially look for. And ultimately, this might be entirely pointless as well because we have no budget. So RJ says Willie has no technique at all. He doesn't. He's a 17-year-old who can run and can finish, but can't do anything else. Time to see if the scout did some work. Indeed. So, now remember to hydrate here. He has been doing some work. When I booted up this, I didn't look ahead properly, but I did pop over this panel to see that we have spent a lot of money on scouting. We had 260,000 euros over our scouting budget. And scouting had been the responsibility of my director of football and chief scout. I'd left it to them. I assumed that they would work within the budget. But they have spent basically, we started with a season budget of 10k. They have spent 270k, which means we are currently staring at an 850k hole in our finances. That does mean, though, that we have players scouted. It also means that I can no longer scout anyone more than the minimal scouting that they've got. Oh, we've got one player with extensive. But essentially, we've got a few here. Essentially, we can't scout players any further than be aware that they exist. We also have player search disabled, so the only people we can look at is these guys in this list here. And we have no transfer budget. So if we're looking at players who are free transfers, they're not going to have any performance data because they're not playing for anyone. So that's going to be the challenge. We're not going to be able to scout people any further. We don't have any money. I have a feeling that even if we manage to get the wage budget under control, we're probably not going to be allowed to offer out that much. In fact, let's see if we can find someone. Can we find someone without an agent? We can't search by agent, can we? General. Transfer? Agent. We just do agent is blank. No, that won't work. There's an is not. There's a shame. I was going to say, if we could find someone without an agent, we could see what we're allowed to offer in terms of contracts. Yeah, so search by agent for us, what we do. Kick the DOF out, exactly. He is spending like a madman. Director of foolishness, exactly. So Sir Bampson, will any of them come for trial? Indeed. So this is what we're going to have to use, trials, but if we're going to be first identifying players by performance data, none of them are going to show up. And there's no point in offering any trials if we're going to find out that we have no money to be able to offer them a full-time contract at all. So I want to find someone without an agent so that I could offer them a contract and see what our budget is. If we're if we maybe are lucky and they let us offer someone, say, 200 euros a week, maybe we'd be able to bring a player in. If they turn around and say the top you can offer is 50 euros, we're pretty much boned. So, good thinking, Dodgy Rolex. I'm actually going to try none. No. If we say is none, is space, they'll all contain a space. Oh, actually, if they don't have an agent, they probably don't contain a space. So, do I notice any names come in when I do that? Who disappears or who comes in? Not seeing any changes there. Everyone at the top of this list has an agent. We're essentially looking for a needle in a haystack. I mean, what, there was 430, there's 60 players in this list that don't have an agent, from the looks of things. None of them are in the first quarter. This is scintillating stuff for you guys to watch, I'm sure. Oh, there was a change. Is that Holman Johansson? No, it's above. Todd Kane. Todd Kane appears with a space? He has an agent, so it's not that. We'll give up on that. We could take forever doing that. No agent called Nunn. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Nangelin would be a big name. He would be a big name. I don't think we've got much of a hope of signing Raja Nangelin, even at 38 years old, with a wage budget of minus 1,600. 36 years old even. Actually, let's look at a player that we know definitely. We don't need like defensive midfielders essentially, so I don't mind pissing someone off. That's a defensive midfielder. Let's upset Upa Manyisa. Yeah, we just go past that. So we say star player because that's probably going to show us what the highest budget is. We can't offer another grand. There's no surprise there. 275 euros per week looks to be our budget. We can then add another 50% in fees on a 1-year contract. Will it allow us to do like a wage increase after a certain period? We can then do a wage increase up to 325 euros per week if we need to. So that's good to know. We can bring players in. We won't be able to do anything for transfer fees, so we are going to be looking at free transfers, and that is going to be where we use trials, perhaps. But I don't... So by now, you should know with me, I don't like abusing things. It's not realistic for me to like offer out 50 trials. We will try and target players to be sensible, so they're going to be players, probably Finnish players or Swedish players, or players that we might otherwise see have been released. Actually, have there been any players released? No. We've had some free transfers, but no one released. So hoping we might be able to find a couple of players that have some performance data to them. Oh. We do have players whose contracts are about to expire as well. So that is something we can consider. We've got 100 players potentially there. Rowan, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for the raid. Lovely to see you. How was your stream this evening? My word, thank you so much. Now, guys, if you aren't following Rowan, you most definitely should. This man is an international of Football Manager. A Football Manager international. Why didn't the shout out work there? I've just said your name. There we go. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing, right? There we go. Click that heart, guys. Seriously, go follow Rowan. A absolute gentleman. A great streamer. Really fun and engaging. And he knows a thing or two about the game as well. So yeah, how was your stream, sire? I'd love to know how things are going. Welcome to those who've joined aboard. So I'm MustermannFM. I'm a content creator, mainly on YouTube. Recently started on Twitch around the same time as Rowan, in fact. So we're currently over in IFK Mariehamn in Finland, a team based in the archipelago. So they actually speak Swedish as an official language. We're in the first season. We're about halfway through the first stage, and we're trying our best to go through and see who we might be able to sign to reinforce. We're a relegation threatened team that are performing pretty much as expected. So we've lost a lot of games. There's been lots and lots of goals. It's been good fun. We'd much rather, if we start losing, we're going to go all out attack. I'd much rather lose 3-0 trying than to fall meekly 1-0. So it's been entertaining. It's a good, fun game. And now we're doing the data stuff. And the data stuff is kind of what people know me for. So I hope you guys stick around. If you do, I'd love you to consider following. That'd be marvellous. You can always unfollow when I stop streaming. Then I won't know, but you will have massaged my ego for a little bit. And Xenon FM has come in with the fire himself. I thank you so much, Xenon. I hope you're well. It's a good name as well. I used to love... There's a retro game back in the 90s called Xenon 2 Mega Blast. Not football related at all, but I really enjoyed it. Now, I do have some bad news for you guys, because we do have an ad starting in about 30 seconds. And you will have seen that RJ has redeemed a guest player, so we're going to end up going on a break. I take the breaks myself because I need to get up and stretch my legs and do all that kind of boring stuff that I otherwise forget about unless I take the hint. And then we're going to come back and we're going to play a little mini game. So I'd love you guys to stick around, and I hope you guys enjoy the stream. But yeah, currently we're looking at transfer signings, and that's going to be on hold for about 4 minutes, and we'll see you shortly. We're back. Well, hey, welcome back. So sorry about that. Some bad timing there, Ryan, but great to hear there. It's going amazing, being promoted in the first season. You're already sixth. Absolutely incredible. You did mention that that you were taking over your granddad's old team, which is a brilliant story. To have such a connection is amazing. But sixth already, is it a case of... So what? I'm assuming it's the usual suspects up the top. Your Ajax, your Feyenoord, your PSV, AZ. Who's that team who are like fifth? Who's holding you back from breaking into even higher? So what did I miss there before that? We have... So it says, did I know that Freddie Adu had a spell in Finland over on YouTube? I did indeed. An absolute legend. Freddie Adu had such a wild career. It's such a shame the way it turned out. And yeah, ACAB, I know you're just playing around, but you know, we want to welcome our friends, just like I should have welcomed FM Console when he popped in a little moment ago, but I missed him saying hello. Good evening, FM Console. If you're still around and you haven't left in anger, I hope you're well. Our Welsh neighbours are welcome here. In fact, well, I say, are you welcome? Are you welcome? Because I'm a big fan of like self-determination and autonomy. So, you know, I'd kind of like Wales to be independent. I want Scotland to be independent. I think the Walloons of Belgium should be independent. Let's get some Catalan independence in there as well. You know, maybe the Netherlands could split from Holland, and then you don't have to worry about people getting your name wrong. So top four is indeed Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV and AZ. Then NEC is in fifth, and Almere, the place I was born, is seventh, even though they're second last in real life. Almere, my word, that's not bad. It's pretty incredible they've stayed up. NEC are the team with the name that is really difficult to pronounce, isn't it? It's remarkably long. Won't even show it there. Let's go Eredivisie this way. So, NEC. The Nijmegen Endrecht Combinati. Oh, that one's not too bad. That one's not too bad, eh? Of course, I'm currently on the Guess the Player screen, so you didn't even see me looking it up. Oops. So let's do the Guess the Player, and we've got Chris Norton-Walker guessing before we've even started with Damien Duff. So let me take you through the rules for those who are new in. You will see a small snapshot of a player's FM24 profile. First, you'll see the positions they play, then their attribute polygon, then you'll see their scout report, you'll see their attributes and traits, and finally you'll see the clubs they play for. Your job is to guess who the player is as early as possible. The earlier you guess, the more points you get. Do points mean prizes? No, but it does mean a slot up on the leaderboard that, given that I'm here, is now just a little bit beneath me. So what we'll do is, we'll head straight into it now, and let's go. Here, our very first clue. It was not Damien Duff, I will say. Rowan on, but no one ever actually says that. Indeed, I don't expect they do. Ivor NH, thank you very much for the follow. I hope you're well. So our early guesses. We've got Federico Di Marco before the clue was revealed. I like the idea, RJ, of just guessing a random player. That one time it comes off is going to be amazing. Adam, feeling nice and positive after his 5-pointer earlier on, is gone for another Man United player. Is it McTominay? It is not McTominay. It is not Frank Kessie. It isn't Eduardo Bove either. Some great guesses though. But I can definitely see we're going for the right profile player. He's a ball-winning midfielder. He could also play it's also 3 stars as a Mazzala, box-to-box midfielder. Little bit less for the others. The one thing he isn't is a roaming playmaker. So again, another guess there for McTominay, a fabulous guess. We're going to move on to the next clue here and see if this helps at all. Doesn't really, does it? He's a very all-rounded player. There's one thing he's not particularly good at. Attacking. Sorry, I can't actually see the polygon on my screen, so I have to zoom in onto my laptop there. But otherwise, really all-round. Maybe not much going on aerially. So Amadou and Nana. Amadou and Nana, says RJ. It isn't Amadou and Nana. Unfortunately, Nana is quite good in the air. His first 2 games for Villa, wonderful headed goals. Shite in the air, absolutely. Ronan has gone for Barella. Barella is a fantastic guess. It's not Barella, but he's a quality player, isn't he? Dodgy Rolex bringing it back round to earlier and has gone for Nangolan. Oh, I would love for it to be Nangolan. I expect Nangolan's like quickness, pace has got to be like absolutely nothing now. He was never quick at the best of times, and he was getting slow towards the end of his time at the top level. So let's move on now to the scout report. So we've got guesses for Gundogan and for John McGinn. It isn't either of those. Gundogan, yeah, I can see that. I think Gundogan's going to have pretty good attacking output. McGinn might do as well, but there's some good guesses there. We have a good Bundesliga player. RJ, you're right, he was slow at his peak. So Dodgy Rolex has come in with Goretzka or Kimmich. There's some nice guesses. It isn't Goretzka or Kimmich. I think Kimmich in particular would definitely be considered a better than a good Bundesliga player. But definitely there's a player who had a long-term injury when I took this, so that's interesting. The guesses are rolling in now. Is it Angelo Stiller? God, I love Angelo Stiller. It isn't Angelo Stiller. It isn't Granit Xhaka. It isn't Schlager. It isn't Young. As in age, not the Ashley. Right, okay. I was going to say, I'm not sure. Does this profile show their age at any point? I'm not sure. But they're reasonable. They're certainly not young, but they're not old. They've still got the ability to grow. We can see that there's a whole star's worth of potential extra. So this is a player that is expected to still rotate. Palacios, Sabitzer, Pavlovic, Emre Can and Haidara are all fantastic guesses. Do you know what? Amadou Haidara is a player I really, really, really want to be good. It's never quite worked out from after his move to Leipzig. It's a real shame. But it was none of those suggestions, unfortunately. So here we go. We've only got a single trait, and that's that he runs with ball often. Now, the thing I would be looking at, though, is look at that aggression, that bravery, that determination, that work rate. This is a guy that gets all over. He's gonna hurt you as well, like possibly. Now I will be giving you a bit of a clue here. If you've seen my best possible team in FM using data, this guy picks up a lot of red cards. So Florian Grillitsch has been mentioned by RJ. That's a nice guess. He can be a little bit dirty. Lima, Skiri, Elias Skiri, Anton Stack. Some fantastic guesses coming in there. We're not quite in the right place at the moment, but there are some fantastic guesses. ACAB comes in with Robert Andrick. It's not Robert Andrick, but he is a man who looks like he would hurt you just for looking at him wrong. Let's move on to the next one. We're down to the very, very last clue. And it's player Gladbach, came from Toulouse, and Ivor followed just 4 minutes ago. What a legend comes in here. His second guess, Manu Kone. Give the man a round of applause. 1 point to you, Ivor. Fantastic work. Let me just add that to my magic spreadsheet behind the scenes. Good job, sir. Well done. It is indeed Manu Kone, an absolute legend of this edition of FM, but he is one hell of a dirty player. I think he rounds out about 0.06 red cards per game, which might only be like 2 or 3 a season, but across multiple simulations, that meant every single time he was picking up 2 or 3 red cards a season. A dirty player indeed. So let's finally get on. He is indeed now with Roma Bam Bam. But as I said at the top, he's an FM24 profile, not an FM25 profile. He isn't at Roma in FM, is he? Yes, if you use custom databases, but I try to keep everything away from custom databases if I can, so it's a more universal experience. So, Dodgy Rolex, thank you for the suggestion for putting the agent column in. Obviously, we don't need that now anymore. We know the top side of it, but I think it's a useful thing to add in. Because we might be able to start building relationships with specific agents and maybe seeing if we can find those that generally work out a little bit favourably to us. So, This could be a little bit boring for you guys. I do apologise in advance, but I do like to get all the way. I like to look at all the profiles rather than use the stat search, because the stat search is a little bit broken. And generally speaking, with this approach where you only look at scouted players, there are very, very few options actually out there. So we're going to filter by people available for transfer. We're going to look at goalkeepers first, see if there's anyone that stands out there. We do have Stefanovic here, has been playing. He's got a positive XGP. That's the first thing that stands out, which is great. Not much of a sweeper keeper. So maybe not someone we're going to consider. We've got very little scouting. The only thing we know about him is he's very one-footed and he can't speak Swedish. But as we go through, we'll end up probably picking up on people. Jeremy Ames didn't play. Nothing really we can gather from that. Leonardo Marson played 247 minutes, conceded 2 goals a game, and that was more than was expected. Igor Stefanovic is already looking like a promising option here. Yes, he was picked up on a free. I believe he was indeed. Are we getting Kone? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Do we want the 40-year-old Thomas Mikkelsen who hasn't played any games? No. Will Mannion at Cambridge United. He's played a very, very small handful of games, but there we go. We can see he's okay in terms of ball possession. Doesn't sweep up, so we can't expect him to be much in that respect, but should have conceded 1.23 goals, has only conceded 1.06. We might keep an eye on Will Mannion. We have Jaden Reed already, so we've got someone who can speak English. That's something we can certainly do there. So let's pop one on there. Dodgy Rolex, you absolute gentleman. What a star. What a star. Gifting a sub to Rowanan. You are incredible. I love you, man. Diamond. So Cameron Plain is obviously not going to have played any games for Bournemouth. We will actually, in hindsight, Igor Stefanovic has been one of the better options so far. So let's keep an eye on him. We have the 26-year-old Stan van Bladeren at FC Helsingør. I know nothing about Denmark's FC Helsingør, but he's doing really well, not conceding many goals, and that's a very, very interesting option. So let's keep an eye on our Dutch friend there. Stan van Bladeren. Bladeren. That's an incredible name. My word. And you chucked Rowan a follow. Dodgy Rolex, you are an incredible human being. So we do need to be mindful. We have got some good scouting on him. He's injury prone. He's inconsistent. He doesn't like big matches, and he's not particularly adaptable. However, so he's also playing reasonably well. He speaks English. You know, beggars can't be choosers. So it might be something we go for anyway. Here's Luke Daniels playing for Forest Green. Look, a positive XG prevented makes him better than what we've got currently. But that's 67 goals conceded in 54 games isn't exactly that great. We don't have much information about any of his other elements. We do know that he's good at dealing with crosses and high balls into the area. That's not necessarily been an issue. Our issue has been saving shots. But again, he's playing, so that's someone we can keep an eye on. Frank Lehman. Frank Lehman, 35-year-old, hasn't played for Elversberg, unfortunately. I don't expect Amassar to have played for Sheffield United. Leon Schafran. Almost like Lalo Schifrin, but not quite. Would have happily played the Bullet theme at some point. There's a reference that people won't know. So when you find yourselves in the player search anyway, why don't you look at the save percentage? Sometimes the XG prevented just feels like my personal I'm getting FM'd counter. Because I prefer XG prevented, sir. Simple as that. Okay. Let's go to stats, club. Let's add in total saves is there, so it's going to be under chalkboard. Save ratio here has come in. So save ratio, currently we've got people on -2%, -9%, -5%, -5%. So I don't feel that's going to be right. So let's try one of the other ones. Go for expected save percentage. We're in at like -819%, -1406%. This is what I mean that I just don't bother with the views, because there's going to be things that are broken when it comes to advanced stats. It just sadly isn't to be. And so the last player here was Amsiv. He didn't play. -1000% indeed. So Netherlands represent. He was in the Ajax youth ranks, was he now? There we go. Let's have a look. He was indeed at young Ajax up until 2020 before departing for Denmark. Now it seems a little unfair to suggest that he's not particularly adaptable when he's stayed in Denmark after a while. So maybe they're being a little bit harsh on him. We potentially have 4 goalkeepers there. Stan van Bladeren. I'm going to say it again. Van Bladeren is an amazing name. Like it sounds like if you were reading really, really bad fan fiction, and they wanted to write like about vampires, they're like, I want to have like a Van Helsing thing, but I want them to be like Blade. You would name them Stan van Bladeren. That's not necessarily a good reason to sign him though. But yeah, I think Will Mannion was a player that I think kind of looks okay. I think Van Bladeren might well get the nod even despite those concerns. And what I am encouraged by is that there are options that if we can move on Riikonen, that we might be okay. The other position we wanted was a right back. We've got some options here. There is the former... I almost want to sign Fankati Darbo just out of kindness. Add condition that they've played a minute so you get rid of all those who won't have a Dean Martin pizza pie. That's a very good thinking there. So, stats general. Minutes. 1. Realistically, actually, right. It is a slow process doing this, but we might as well go above 90 at least, because then we won't. Actually, these are players who've all had a full season, aren't they? So let's go to 1,000 minutes. And that should be okay. JHK, if that is what your skin outputs, I see, but I'm going to check how default does it. Be right back. No worries. I haven't changed the property files, so it shall be exactly the same. Rowan, so whenever you see a van in a Dutch name, you pronounce it like the A in example. So Van. Cool. And the A in Bladeren there, you pronounce like the A in the second A in Saka. Bladeren. Bladeren's not as fun. Bladeren is much cooler. He should be called Bladeren. But Van Bladeren. Van Bladeren. Stan Van Bladeren. I'm so going to forget that. Maybe we're not allowed to sign him. So here we go. We've got Kane Attard. Outside scouting coat. Doesn't dribble. Does create chances. Gets into goal scoring positions but can't score. Gets into goal scoring positions a lot and can't score. Okay at winning headers. Not particularly good at tackling, unfortunately. RJ, too hard to pronounce. Remove him from the shortlist. Indeed. Doesn't help us out in terms of... So he sweeps up deep more than he pressures. So that can be a more defensive profile there. He's kind of a very confusing profile. Both things that suggest he's better staying back and things that suggest he's better going forwards. I'm not necessarily particularly keen on Kane Attard there. Do we have enough here? We do. On Fankati Darbo's been playing as a wing back, mainly on the right, occasionally on the left. And he has not been creative at all. 0.04 expected assist isn't great, but he does dribble. The exact opposite of Attard there. Tackling's been good, heading's been okay. Again, doesn't really help with pressuring. Like the story of Fankati Darbo since he missed the penalty in the playoff final for Coventry like 18 months ago has been awful. It's really, really sad. So I kind of want him to do well, but Just probably not with us. Very well pronounced. I'm going to have to agree with that the other way to pronounce it is way cooler. So here we go. This is a league that we don't have in detail, and therefore we don't have really any information that is useful to us. Jordan Bowery is not a right back. Don't tell me Jordan Bowery is a right back. Good, he's been played as a striker. That was a bit of a surprise to see him in there. Jonas Mortensen. He's been playing as a fullback. Now this looks more like the kind of player I want. Look at that, 91% tackles won. Headers are still pretty decent. He helps progress the ball. He helps move it through the lines, which is good. Not so great at dribbles. Not as good as Attard at expected assists. When he gets into goal scoring positions, he actually scores. Again, more of a sweeper than a presser. But I think we could potentially do something with Jonas Mortensen here. So Mortensen, we can do there. And Rob Hunt here. Rob Hunt, there's some joke about him having a brother called Michael, that let's not go down that route. Rob Hunt looks a little bit rubbish. Yes, RJ, because we don't have a transfer budget, so let's look at players that we have stats on, so they're employed by a club, but because it's the summer, players who are going to be, their contracts are going to expire very soon. So Rob Hunt is a bit rubbish. We can just pass on that. There's not really anything much to go for. That does mean that Kane Attard suddenly looks like a more plausible option there. We have two quite different profiles of player. So does it work on this? Yes, it does. I couldn't remember if it worked properly on this resolution, but it does there. So we can see that Attard is much better in terms of expected assists, much better in the air. Also gets more shots but doesn't score compared to Mortensen. So when Mortensen does get forward, he carries more of a threat. Neither of them are particularly good at pressing. Much better at the position one side of things, where Mortensen comes out on top. Mortensen also loses the ball more. He loses the ball 0.8 times more, but only completes 0.4, 0.5 passes more. So he's a little bit more careless. But that careless also means that he's more progressive. So he's taking a bit more risk there. And he's slightly more dribbly. Jonas Mortensen is a player I really like the look of. What I don't like the look of is his 1.1 thousand euros per week wage. So that's someone we're going to have to wait until perhaps they're released, and then hope that maybe no one else is interested, so that we'll be able to swoop in and offer him a very, very low deal. Johnson asks, off topic, but am I following the darts at all? Nope, I know nothing about darts. Sorry. Here we go. So now centre backs. We definitely don't have. It's a town. We definitely don't have the Bahrain League because we're using the default database. So that information is not going to be useful to us. Lots of Forest Green players being suggested. Evidently, that's where the scouts spent all the money on it, on a trip to Forest Green. So Jordan Moore Taylor. Here's a centre back. He's won a higher percentage of tackles than any of our centre backs. He's winning a good number of headers. Again, the wages may be an issue. He's really safe on the ball. Jordan Moore Taylor would be wonderful. Almost certainly is not going to be affordable for us. Jonathan Witt. Update. Looks just fine in the default skin. The expected one, as mentioned earlier, not reliable at all. It do correlate with XG defense, so it's nice to have to get fuller picture. Interesting to know, because I say the properties file, I've edited the properties file, and I know that hasn't been edited, so it should be the exact same. Something to look into. I'll raise it on the forum, see if there's something being looked at, because I know that when I've raised the goalkeeping stats before, they've confirmed that those ones are an issue too. But if you could actually, JHK, if you could screenshot that and pop over to the SI forums, there should be a bug report. If you can add it to that, because then they can start seeing where there are differences between the circumstances that might have it, and that might be something that helps. That'd be amazing. I say that as if I work for them. Don't do that if you don't want to. Yeah, makes a little difference. Yeah, trip to Forest Green by plane. Crazy. Ronan, I played with Forest Green for a while. He played so well for me too. That's something to keep in mind. Good to know. There we go. So that might be our... Just need to convince him to take a massive pay cut. Jonathan DeWitt would also need a pay cut. He's certainly more affordable, but he can't tackle, nor can he head, so he's a no. Gregors Arndal Lauritsen. Here we go. A left-footed centre-back, 77% tackles 1. Headers at 67% is a little bit below what I'd like to see. Good possession 1. Okay possession lost. Can carry. Again, probably outside of our budget, but we will keep an eye on him. Sam Sherring. Sam's Herring. He can't tackle. He can head. I'm not interested in defenders that can't tackle. Jordan Willis. Now there's a name I recognise. Is he a former Coventry youngster? I wonder if he's been good on Football Manager in the past. That's a name I definitely recognise. Really good with his tackling. 86% is phenomenal. Not as good in the air. He's 5'11", but maybe I'd be willing to accept that in that situation. Really safe on the ball. 1.2k per week, almost certainly beyond our reach. And then Ernest. Okay, we don't have proper data because he's playing in Saudi Arabia. But wouldn't it be cool to have a player called Governor as a centre back? Do you know what? We're going to keep an eye on Ernest Governor. See if we can get him in on a trial, because that name is sensational. That Wit dude plays everywhere from defensive to facility. He's like, but only through the middle, right? Only through the middle. He's just like, don't want to go anywhere near the wings, boss. Incredible. He just needs the goalkeeper as well to fill it out. I'm going to spend some time with the fiance before I head to bed. Have a lovely stream, my good friend. Thank you so much for dropping by, Ron. Thank you for the raid. Really appreciate it. Have a lovely, lovely evening. So defenders, we've got some options there. And then we were either looking at... Did I just see a player called Chalupa? Again, a league that we don't have. He's 36 years old. So the data isn't particularly reliable here. But Thiago Chalupa is an amazing name. Are we just going to end up signing players with cool names? Because that'd be fun. So either we want striker or an attacking midfielder. I prefer attacking midfielders, so we'll have a look at these first. So Jordan Gibson is a winger. He's played mainly as a midfielder in centre, and he's played up front. This is a player that has versatility, which is cool. Does mean that this... Actually, we're going to go to all because he's played between a number of places, including wing-back. But he does feel like a me player. He scores above his XG. He doesn't create that much. His dribbling is okay, but if you're coming from deeper, from like the midfield centre spot, it's much harder to dribble through the middle. Okay pressures, not particularly sensational. Tackling's okay, can't challenge in the air at all. Really, really loose on the ball. Really loose on the ball. I'm not convinced by Jordan Gibson, despite his flexibility. Now, Tommy Lee is also flexible. He has also played pretty much everywhere through the middle. Again, scores more than his XG, which is cool. A bit more creative, which is very nice. 8% tackle 1, not particularly good in the air. Possession 1's pretty good. He's safer on the ball than the last fella. I do like the look of Tommy Lee. I don't like the look of his €1,500 per week wage. Chris Maguire's now 35. We don't know what positions he's been playing, but we could probably guess from this that it's maybe as a attacking midfielder. He's not had enough shots to be a striker. Creative, wins back the ball, or sweeps up the ball. 91% tackles 1. Wins a lot of headers, but not a particularly high rate. I think that there's too much unknown there. RJ, there's one condition when you play in English lower league. You've got to play at least 5 positions. Yes, absolutely. MacArthur FC isn't... Oh no, we did load South Africa, didn't... No, this is Australia. We have Australia loaded. It's on no detail though, so I'm surprised that coming through. We can though take a look at this. May is an attacking midfielder who doesn't create, doesn't score his chances. Yeah. And Leon Gomez at Lanzarote. We don't know where he's played, but he scored 15 goals, so you probably... Yeah, that's too lower division. When a player has no dribbles whatsoever and no headers won, that means that they don't have the details for them. So, some options there. Let's have a look if any of these guys are left-footed. Because we could do with a left-footed attacking forward player. So I wouldn't mind this. Here's Andreas Smed playing in Denmark. Andreas Smed. You're expecting he's a winger there. He would come in as our dribbliest boy. We love a dribbly boy. Dribbly boys are the best kind of boys. Okay, chance creation, just below average. Doesn't score, which is a slight concern. But he does press. Okay in terms of ball safety. In fact, his dribbliness does earn him the maestro. Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on Andreas Smed, and there's €130 a week. Chris Maguire's there again. Joel Da Silva. Joel Da Silva is playing in Portugal, but we've got no reliable data there. Then do we have anyone? It's Jordan Gibson again. So our options from strikers, we do have a few here. Fabio Serravallo, he's 5'11", he's 37 years old. Not enough information about Serie C. We definitely won't have enough information about the Thai League or Serie D. Segunda Federation, do we have enough? We do have some information on Segunda Federation. So Daniel Segovia. Who's that? Who's that classical guitarist? Andre Segovia. A great classical Spanish guitarist. Might be Portuguese actually. That's not worth anything at all. Look up Andre Segovia if you want to hear some calming classical guitar. He underperforms his XG, but he's getting into decent shooting positions. 0.44 XG from 3.19 shots means you're looking at roughly a 0.15 XG per chance. So he's getting into good shooting positions. He's just not quite finishing them. Not the worst there. A 38% header win rate. Probably quite low for someone who's 6'4", but he's also 39, so maybe it's just a bit too much of a demand on his body. But it would be quite nice. I keep on clicking on the wrong thing there. It'd be quite nice to have a physical presence up front that can take the burden off Lundberg a bit. So that could be a possibility. JHK, in regards to overperforming XG, it's so ironic that when moneyballing in FM, you want that than someone who is hard-coded to be wasteful. So, yeah, indeed. So, naturally, in real life, performance against XG fluctuates so much, whereas in FM, you definitely have a certain fluctuation. Calling it hard-coded to be wasteful seems a bit weird. I mean, just they're not good finishers. And naturally, if you're going to try and do something that is developed to be like programmatically done, it's going to be really difficult to model that fluctuation you get in real life. So it does make a huge difference on this level. But also, if you do find players who in real life actually outperform their XG regularly, then you definitely want to consider signing them in real life, because they're showing that their finishing is always of a very good quality, or that they're playing at a level far beneath what they're good at. Like if Erling Haaland was playing in the Finnish third division, he'd probably be outscoring his XG by a lot, and that can still be a useful measure, especially if we're looking for players who are willing to join us, and if they can outperform regularly, at a level higher than ours, they're going to have fun time with it at ours. In theory, anyway. So here is Ekane as Kune. Outperforms as XG. 2.65 shots, 0.4 non-penalty XG. So again, we're looking around 1.4 there. Doesn't really contribute in any other way. I'm not as enthused by him. Out for 8 months, definitely not. Well, we saw Jordan Bowery as a defender. As a striker, he scored 5 goals in 1,500 minutes, which doesn't bode well, but he is a big boy. Wins a number of headers, but only 33%. We'll pass on Jordan Bowery. And Leon Gomez, that guy at Lanzarote. So there we go. Not necessarily the strongest of options that we've got there. We can, though. Do we have any Finnish people we can... Let's add that in as a nationality. Finnish or Swedish. So a 21-year-old Saku Kankampa was at SJK, hasn't picked up a new club since. We've got a lot of knowledge, and the knowledge tells us that he's not particularly good. What are the rules around trialists in the Bundesliga? So there's no rules there. Do we have the match rules here? Match squad must have no more than 3 non-EU players. Must have at least 9 players trained by a club in Finland. At least 4 trained in a club in Finland in the playing 11. The squad must have no more than 0 players who have played 3 matches for the first team. That's B teams only. Okay, so Sisu Sankari came in and said that trialists can play in the League Cup, but not in the league. That makes sense. So a 39-year-old youngster, indeed there was. Got many years ahead of him at 39. Like, we need experience, so maybe we go a little bit far on that respect, because we look at our experience matrix. Our oldest player is Robin Sid, he's 29. Oh, Ajala is 29 as well, but I think Sid is older. 21st of July compared to 28th of February. So yes, Sid will turn 30 in a month. And he's arguably been one of our worst players. So we could do with some experience, and 39 years young. Beautiful. Update, washing dishes turned into building a bonfire. Guess I was given fajitas for a reason, indeed. Just casually building a bonfire on a Monday afternoon, evening. That seems like one hell of a plan. Now, if you can get that in exchange for fajitas, I think you're still doing pretty well in that regard. Any possible loans? So RJ, loans, really, there's no point in looking at them until the window itself is open. Because once those moves happen, that changes everything, and I can't pre-plan them, if you know what I mean. But yes, loans may well be the thing that we end up looking at long term in the window. But right now I want to see who we can potentially bring in as permanent members. Like Tommy Mackinnon. Tommy Mackinnon can pass, and he's determined. And he used to play for us. He hasn't played for 5 years, but it appears that he spent most of his career in Ireland, and that is good enough reason as far as I'm concerned to give the man a trial. Let's get him in. Let's see if he can be a body. He's got a lot of flexibility. Could be our cover at right back. That's where he's come up as. So could you ask DOF for free player suggestions? I could indeed. We'll get there in a moment. Centre backs. We've got some options here. Matila. Really injury prone, so we're not going to consider that. Tallest career has been in Finland. Noah Nurmi. He's undersized at 5'11". We don't have enough knowledge on him there. He was playing at Inter Turku for a while, then dropped down to the reserves. So Helsinki, he speaks Swedish. I feel like I'd be happy to offer him a trial as well. And the way I will view this is that they are coming in just to train. We're trying to help get them up to some fitness for whatever team they end up signing for eventually. So here we have an former Ilves player, spent quite a bit of time from 2013 up to 2020, moved to Cups and then on to Odds, and hasn't had a club since. Diego Thomas. He was still playing regularly at that point, so that seems reasonable. He has Portuguese nationality, hence the name, Diego Thomas. He is a Finnish international, so I imagine that his contract demands will be quite high. Let's see if having them in makes them feel more inclined to join us. Ooh. And what have we got in way of attacking midfielders? There's Petteri Forsell. This was the gentleman that you've been mentioning that you'd like me to bring in, and now we have the opportunity potentially. He is wanted by FC Hacker though. Let's see if we can again get him in, make sure we've got a bit more information on him. Guys that can play out wide, so that's Forsell again. No view. Is he left-footed? He's either-footed. Right dominant, but can use both. And then finally, strikers, we've got none there. So we've picked ourselves up about 13 players. We can go through and have a look at the director of football. So I'm going to look at more end of contract, because we're inviting these people in on loan, but we still have no data whether they're in on loan or not. So JHK, Son is potentially someone who is underrated for consistently overperforming XG. Apparently links between two-footedness and overperforming, so it's definitely something to scout for. Absolutely, absolutely. Adam, you're heading off. Thank you very much for being by. I really appreciate it. And well done on that 5 points earlier. Absolutely sensational stuff. That is the thing of legends. I hope you have a lovely evening, dude. So the options that they're coming through with here, we've got a goalkeeper that's made 0 saves. That's a league that's probably not active. Looks like it. Yep, Elvas is a league that is not active. Here we've got 2 saves, so that's something to keep an eye on. Salvas, 6'1", no information on him whatsoever. Possession lost is being saved, 64%. Concedes more than he's expected to. We already have someone who does that. Roberto Yara at Arandina. So we do have information on saves. We do have lower Spanish leagues there. He just about creeps in the XG prevented. Well, he's only having to make 1 save a game. So it's obviously that is indicative of his defence really helping him out. Doesn't need to win the ball much. That doesn't lose it much. 58%. We'll keep an eye on him, but nothing particularly special there. We will just see if we get different options when we ask for sweeper keepers. We do indeed. I will only consider Finnish players for trials. So I meant to do that for end of contract goalkeeper, sweeper keeper. So we have one more suggestion there. This Leonardo Marston, we looked at him earlier. Right backs. I'm happy for us to consider any type of right back. Pretty much. Now, there's some inverted wing back suggestions at this level. That's the surprise. And inverted fullback suggestions. So as a fullback, we have here wins his tackles, wins his headers, makes absolutely 0 effort to pressure or win the ball back. He's a no. Wait a second, he's been playing as a winger, hasn't he? No, not with that dribbles, he hasn't. Gregoire Lefebvre. Bruno Bolas literally means Bruno Balls. Welcome in, Mr. Tuna, this evening. That is probably as good a reason to sign someone as any. Bruno Bolas. I've spelled his name wrong. Right, he's onto the shortlist for that. For that and that alone. Here's Gregoire Lefebvre, he hasn't played. I am not pronouncing that name. I'll try. So, Ixtior Toshpolitov? That is one hell of a name. Now, a 31-year-old Uzbekistani with no caps. It's not an active league. That's unfortunately a step too far for us. No to Regasol. Luca Plattenhart. That feels like a familiar name. It isn't. None of that stirred anything in me. Jorge Mia Atom Amorebiata. So, interesting profile of player. He can win his tackles. Doesn't really do anything though. Bordeval, nothing going on there. Inverted fullback time. Or inside fullback or whatever it was. 88% tackles won. Doesn't pressure, doesn't sweep up. Wins his headers, so capable as a centre back. Potentially even though he's 5'11". Again, I really want them to either be able to contribute sweeping or pressure. We're just not getting much there going. League that's not active. And Della Quercia. Oh, this looks promising. He's up at the 40th percent of possession won. That's more than what we've seen so far. 85% of his tackles, 68% of his headers. He's quite active in that regard. 4.89 progressive passes from 38. So we're looking at about 13% progressive pass rate. Now 13 possession lost when you only complete that many passes. Probably a little bit questionable as well. But he is better than what we've seen up until now from the director of football. Mr. Tuna, what kind of games has your Duff been watching? These are some weird suggestions. The director of football suggestions are weird. Although Gary Williams is an American, we are his first job. No idea what his connection is to Finland. Biography is just that. He was born in 77 and he's now our director of football. There we go. Have a good rest of the stream, Musterman. I'm off to bed. Hopefully next stream we have the Governor part of the back four. I hope so. Governor's such an amazing name. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for dropping by, Dodgy Rolex. Take it easy. So let's have a look through. We're going to get... There should probably be lots of suggestions here. Yeah, we're open to all the positions. What a surprise! There are no trequartistas at this level. So Florian Mikel hasn't played. Musa Sissoko hasn't played. Syed Arab hasn't played. Juan Carlos Menudo has played but in an inactive league. Miguel Diaz has played. He's just a bit rubbish. So he gets into shooting positions but he can't score, doesn't create, doesn't dribble. Oh, possession lost. That's definitely something wrong there. That's not an active league. No player in the world has ever lost possession fewer than one time a game on average. Carlos Gilbert here. He can score. That's something going for him. He can't really contribute anything else. Philip Fontaine hasn't played. Yanis Barker hasn't played. Gerrit Kaiser. If we could have the Kaiser and the Governor, that would be an interesting transfer window, but he hasn't played. So let's see if we get more luck with some striker suggestions. He's American. It's explained now. We've had some Dutch slander. We've had some American slander tonight, and I haven't been the one doing it. That feels weird. His connection to Finland. He was on vacations and he saw the door open. Yeah, that seems plausible. Someone said to him, "Have you considered being a director of football?" And he went, "Yeah, sure, if you're willing to pay me." Did we just do target forward? We did just do target forward. So the target forward suggestion, Daniel Hamill and Becker, just for me to remember. Complete forwards at this level? No, pressing forwards, we should get some suggestions, including a wonderfully named Colorado Murray. False nines at this level? No, there's a surprise. Indeed. So, Chicky is playing at Alcorcon. These players are all rubbish. The director of football has spunked our money up the wall, and now he's coming back. And what has his work got to show for it? Absolutely nothing. Hey, can you recommend someone? Yeah, I can recommend all these people that have never played a game of football. Daniel Hamill, there's our. We've got a player. Here we go. Ernest Forgas playing at St Andrew. No, that's wrong. That's an inactive league. Yep. Boo. That looked promising for a moment. Colorado Murray. Here he is with the name. Not in a league at all. Playing over in El Salvador. And then Gaetano Monticello playing for Mantova. Now this is a more real player. 2,000 minutes, 12 goals. He's scoring 0.54 goals from 0.21 NPXG. How many of those have been penalties? He's scored one penalty and he's missed one penalty. So he's actually, that makes his overall against XG probably worse. Not great at headers, only 33%. He's going to be added to the shortlist as the best of a bad bunch, to be fair. No complete forward suggestion. What a surprise. Like no false nines, no trequartistas. God, what are these guys doing? How do you expect us to compete at this level without a false nine? Fire the American. You see, the problem is I would like to fire the American. I'm very unhappy with him in that regard, but he's got another 18 months on his contract, and 650 euros a week means that that's going to cost us quite a bit of money to get rid of him, and then quite a bit of money to replace him. He's safe. That's why he spent all the money. He knew that I'd sack him. So it's like, well, if I spend all the money, they can't pay the severance. So we have some options there. We're going to push until nearer the transfer window. We might actually get to a game this evening. Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it? Oh, perfect. Salon has just come to us and said that he's going to consider his options. So we might look to see if we can get even that 16,000 euros for him as a buy now fee. In come the trialists, all defensive players apart from Forcell. And see if by having them on, that maybe by having them with the club, maybe that will make them more willing to accept a really, really low wage. It says that he should be considered for the following matches. I'm not sure. Right, it reckons that Diego Tomas is a star player, but wage demands not applicable. That might be because he has no agent. Makinen is a fringe player that could become better. Wage demands are above what we'd be able to buy. Nothing there. Nothing there. A regular starter, though, potentially. We have so many undersized young defensive midfielders. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We've got a game coming up against Inter Turku. We lost this game, the reverse fixture, at home 2-1 earlier on this season. Was that the game we conceded in the 6th minute of 5 minutes injury time? It was indeed. It says 5 minutes. So maybe it was the 5th minute of 6. A reminder of our game last time out. This was how it ended. 94 minutes. There's 4 minutes of injury time. 95th minute. Header at the far post. Beats Alvinen in the air. We want revenge. We want revenge. Oh, and we have an ad break coming up in about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So hopefully we should be able to get to the game just in time for us to go on a break, and then we can come back for it. We have at least played one game on the stream. Who would have thought that would happen, eh? Oh, and the Swarman Cup quarter-final draw. Let's just... Way, we've got a lower division team yet again. So the Finland First Division Championship, they are fourth. But we seem to have been very fortunate that our route through so far has been against all lower division teams. Nordqvist training badly, Anderson, Patup training badly. It's the usual suspects. I'm 6'1" and I sometimes felt small when I was playing defender in the 7th division in Belgium. I always feel like the lower you go down in divisions, the taller people become, because you're not getting your athletes and your technical players anymore. You're just getting your beasts. Not to call you a beast, RJ. Or maybe I am. Who knows? That would be a really, really bad time to go on a break, wouldn't it? But we are. So I will see you guys in about 3-4 minutes. We're back. Hey, there we go. So, into the final stretch now. We probably won't make it through to a 4th hour. So, here we go. Only connect round 2. I assume that those in probably all know the rules, but just in case you don't, here they are. You will see 4 players. They will one at a time. Let's start that again, shall we? You will see pictures of 4 players, one after another. Each player is connected to one another, and your job is to guess what that connection is. The earlier you guess, so with the fewer clues, the more points you get. Now, these clues are, you won't know. It won't tell you who the player is. It's your job to work that out. So I recommend popping it in chat once you know who it is, and you kind of workshop off one another. Sometimes they come in. Some people, they're getting used to this game now, and they're coming in with guesses beforehand. And they know that sometimes I like to be a little bit abstract. So RJ has already come in and suggested that they all have the same agent. Now, I must confess there have been some abstract ones before, but I am not quite nerdy enough to work out who is all under the same agent. Maybe I will be for next stream. Oh, you've planted an idea in my head, RJ. That's a bad decision. Mr. Tunafish says they all have the same father, Maldini. So, you reckon that it might be some Maldinis. Let's see if you're right with the first clue. You are not right. You are not right, unfortunately. So, do we know who this rather dapper gentleman with his bouncy hair is? Testing your knowledge of goalkeepers here. So, Mr. Tunafish has rightly identified that it is a severe goalkeeper. Whether they're currently a severe goalkeeper or a past severe goalkeeper is yet to be decided, but there we go. So yes, it is indeed, RJ, it is Yassine Bono. Do we know anything about Yassine Bono? Other than his name is spelt Bunu, but pronounced Bono. There we go. So I think it would be pretty tricky to work it out from this one. And we will move on to the next one, see if this helps at all. Don't know, does it though? Does look to be another goalkeeper. With the wonderful Kazoo sponsorship. So they are goalkeepers, yes. That is true that they are all goalkeepers. They are all goalkeepers. They're special kind of goalkeepers though. There's some special thing that links them all. Do we know who this is? That's the big question. So we've got is that Everton kit? That is an Everton kit. You think that's Stekelenburg? It is not Stekelenburg, I can tell you that much. It isn't a Dutch goalkeeper either. Levi coming in to save the day. It is indeed Asmir Begovic. Yeah, Begovic, indeed. It is. I get what you're going with. Both him and Stekelenburg have that jawline, man. Like, you can see it. And Bam Bam as well, confirming it as Begovic. Now, Begovic has done something that people might remember. Potato said it's Begovic, but I think it will become a little bit more clear if we move to the next clue. Look at that hair. Look at that hair. The combination, the hair and moustache together. Colombia were unique in their ability to field hirsute goddesses, I was going to say. Hirsute gods. Titans that stand above everyone else. Just look at it. It's got a real Rick James. Got a real Rick James feeling, that's for sure. If only I still had the Super Freak song to go. So Bam Bam is guessing that they served in the army. Now, that's an interesting guess. I don't know one way or the other. That could indeed be correct, but it's not the clue we're looking at. It's a scored from long distance, said JHK. Let me think about that. So, you are remarkably close. Perhaps a bit too specific, because I'm pretty certain that Bono scored from a corner. Let's have a look here. Yassine Bono scored an equaliser in the 94th minute of a 1-1 away draw with Valladolid from a corner, so he hasn't scored a long-range goal. And so that is unfortunately, but indeed, so Mr. Shinfish Bono scored from this. It was indeed Rene Higuita Daniel, that is correct. as RJ has called him as well. Is Chilavert the last one, says RJ. It is. Well, Chilavert was a choice, and Leicester is correct. It is just simply goal-scoring keepers. So what I think I'm going to do there is I'm going to give Leicester the 2 points because he's correct, but I'm going to give JHK 1 point because you were so very, very close with that. Did they save a goal with a weird move like the Scorpion? That would have been cool. So the last clue, it could have been Jose Luis Chilavert, but the only one it really had to be was, you're right, Mr. Tuna Fish, it's Rogerio Ceni, and there's 129 goals. Bono and Begovic only scored 1 goal each. Begovic quite famously was a 91-yarder that caught in the wind and floated over Ben Foster. And Reno Higuita, I'm surprised he scored 43. I know he's a little bit crazy with his goal-scoring exploits, but that's quite incredible. Some fabulous, fabulous work going on there. I mean, yeah, like Higuita, I didn't know that Higuita was a goal-scoring goalkeeper, if that makes sense. Like, he's a goalkeeper you expect that will have scored 1 or 2 goals just because he's a little bit crazy, not that because he's that active in it. So there we go. Let's get those points recorded. JK, there's 1. It will make the leaderboard look exciting for Wednesday's stream indeed. Let's get everything up here. Let's pop back. Stream main, there we go. A little bit crazy, just a little bit crazy. Cheney's free kicks were amazing. I remember the Begovic goal, yeah. I didn't know that Bono had scored either, and that's why he was kind of the first goal there. Probably the most obscure, potentially goal-scoring goalkeeper there is out there. But it is a shame to not have Chilavert. Only 4 players, and I think if we had Higuain or Chilavert a clue earlier, it might have just been a little bit too obvious. So Leicester says Igor Akinfeev has never scored a goal in football, yet has 18 on my FM24 save for penalty taking. That is quite obscene. Like, why? Why is he like the scouts like watch him specifically at training just to see that he's amazing at penalties yet never takes them? That seems like a very, very shocking move there. Danny over on YouTube, good evening. How are you, sir? So, my thoughts. We have a couple of alternative tactics now. So, this is the system we've been using mainly. This is kind of exactly the same thing, realistically, but we have players coming from different areas, and that means we get 2 players up top, which I might be quite keen on. And then we've got a 4-3-3, which again would achieve pretty much the same thing with 2 players up top, but 1 coming from that position. Carolero. And I'm thinking that maybe we would be well suited to try just something a little different. So we're going to be up against a 4-3-3. That allows them to dominate in the middle, and actually kind of like I think we might try the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3 here, because when we have attacking midfielders, they've got players that are kind of screening the defence midfield. If we're going a little bit more direct, we're trying to attack the width with the wide guys staying high for them. I think we go for the 4-3-3 here. We've got Enquist that can play down there. We've got our goalkeeper who we've been talking about being rubbish. We can have Nissanen tucking inside. We can have Reitinen and Alvanen. Then at the base of midfield, Ponsel has been really good winning tackles. Ajala has been really good at winning tackles. Now we've got quite a bit going on there. And we'll let Dahlstrom has been pretty good with his dribbling from what we saw earlier. So we'll let Dahlstrom take that more attacking role. And that will then give us Olawale, Adam Larson, and then we can try Jaden Reed up front so that we're still bringing Lundberg on off the bench. We're not forcing him into situations that he's not comfortable with. We've got a proper defender on the bench now. Robin Sid on the bench. Lundberg. Akirake's been okay for us. And we'll have Nunes, because we have a 2-striker system as well. So we've potentially got a number of players out there. Fingers crossed. So as a Liverpool fan, I miss Alisson in this one. But I got a point, so that made my days anyways. Alisson was one of the players I considered. So I'd originally picked out Begovic because I remembered that goal. And I was like, oh, Alisson as well. But again, I think that even though Alisson's only scored 1 goal, it kind of made it a little obvious. But he would have been a great shout. RJ coming in with the Adam Larsson love. The Adam Larsson. For you guys on Twitch, I should have mentioned this at the top, but we have some emotes. We have some emotes. I think you've got to follow to get most of them. There is one that is a subscriber-only emote, which is the Numa dance. But we have some goal emotes. Hopefully we'll get to use them. We have Scary Mick Aratalo. We have VAR bullshit. We've got a couple of things going in there, so there we go. So Amin says, good day, big fella. How is the grind going? It's going well. We have been playing now for, what's the stream been going for? 3.5 hours, and we're coming up to our first game of the evening. We've been looking at data. Red App, there is something sexy about. Red App, you are leaving that you're leaving us hanging there. There is something sexy about. Well, it is just there is something sex. There is a general feeling of sexiness permeating the air. Somebody's been serving up some aphrodisiacs. Those circles in the roll ability, right? Yes, I absolutely agree. Hands on hips. We're all sick of it. There we go. There's some positive reactions. Let's tell these guys that I have faith in them. And let's see as our all best laid plans end within the first 5 minutes and we concede immediately. RJ, are we playing a game? We are indeed playing a game. I didn't promise any football tonight. This is a bonus. That's Enquist makes the tackle. It looks like there's Reisen stepping up. That was nice defending. I never like it when there's a highlight to start the game. I always feel most defences are quite vulnerable in those situations. We look vulnerable there as Enquist forced to clear. It's a chance for Seiju. Plays it through to Järvinen. Järvinen calls it back to Seiju. He's got a chance to shoot, and that's narrowly wide. Riikonen didn't even react to it. So the early running has been for Turku. We can see they're doing well for the momentum side of things. There's a lot of play coming out to this left-hand side with Seiju. Once again, plays it inside to Riikonen makes the challenge. Terrific block by Fonsell. They're just on positive, not too attacking. Ajala makes the challenge. Hopefully that's the end of this highlight. It is indeed. No, it's not. Another highlight immediately. Derek back to Hämäläinen. Hämäläinen plays it inside. Fonsell gets it clear. There's no one there to put pressure on. They're able to come forward once again. Inter Turku over the top to Järvinen. Chests it down. Oh, why do we have penalties? Always penalties. We have conceded so many penalties this season, and that looked a little bit. Let's add some tension. That looked perfectly fine to me. Newcastle lost 2-0 at home to West Ham. How about that? Did West Ham get a bullshit penalty? Can we do it sideline? I want the sideline from the other side here. So he is being played on by Alvinen. There is nothing about this challenge. Nothing there at all. Just a nice bit of strong body. Keep it safe as the ball goes out. That is just disgraceful. Let's watch though from behind the goal. Not that I can see it, RJ. Good result for West Ham though. So here's Seiju. Sends Riikonen the wrong way. It's 1-0. I'm already not particularly happy with the way this game has started, so we're probably going to make changes early. Do we immediately change back to what we know? Beautiful, beautiful penalty. Doesn't just send the keeper the wrong way, but right into the side netting. So we can't really counter now, because they're going to have the lion's share of the ball. Larsson up front. Dahlstrom will be the wide midfielder that we've asked to basically sit inside. And Ajala gets to attack. No, we'll swap those two around there. Olawale out wide. So that seems very, very disappointing start. It has been all into Turku, 4 shots to our none, not managing to get into their half at all. This is why I don't play a back 4. Look at how much worse this has been from at least in our other games we were having chances. As we then shoot over, and now Foncel has picked up an injury. I think that might be the catalyst to us going back to what we know. Or is it? Here comes a corner. Enquist is going to take. Crosses in, Alvin at the near post. Just over. So Red Up, you changed tactics. We did indeed. We thought we'd try something different to see if that helps at all, and it hasn't. It really hasn't. We've kept them down to four shots. Their 0.79 of that XG comes from the penalty that wasn't a penalty. Absolute bullshit. So I want a much better display. I'm not happy with that. We have had a couple of chances in the 4-4-2, so now we can... So when we play with the back 5, that allows us to have Olawale, Reed, Larson, and another attacking player on the pitch. Boncel's likely tucks inside to create the space for Enquist to get forwards. We know Foncel needs to come off. Maybe we see what Sid is like in that role. We're going to ask Dahlstrom to move into the channels, not roam from position. We'll ask him to... We'll try that in the second half. We're already playing at a higher tempo. Let's try and play more direct. It means we want to knock it into one of the forwards. Don't want to... Right, okay. We're bringing on Lundberg instead. We're going to put Larson out wide. We're not going to tell him to hold position, so we're just asking him to cut inside. And so he should come hopefully into this area, whilst Dahlstrom then pushes beyond Lundberg and Enquist pushes forwards. We are going to ask to play down that side, which means that we'll have Olawale more attacking, and we hope that he kind of joins at the back post. There we go. Can we get back into this game? We had a couple of moments in the second half. Reed gets ahead of his man and then does something very, very weird. Very weird indeed. I play with a back 4 but with inverted wing back. Yeah, I don't think we really have any players that can play as inverted wing back in the wide areas. None of them can pass or do anything creative, so I'm a little wary of that. But I do think we're going back to the back 5 very, very soon. Here we go, but there's a chance to counter. Reed can't get there ahead of Legbo. Now Krebs back into Reed. Reed, can he go outside, or is he going to do something weird with his dribbling again? He does, but it's okay. He's worked out. Dahlstrom shoots from distance. Martinen tips it round the post after the deflection. Here's the corner. Can't get there, unfortunately. Now Sage is this going to be teaching us how to actually counter-attack? Maybe, maybe not. That looked just onside. I'll take your word for it. Certainly seen the momentum push back in our favour in the second half, which is good. Now, chance for maybe apply some pressure as they try to build up from deep. Nope, they're going to pass out their way quite easily. But that was weird. That was weird, and it's weird in our favour. And Olawale is through for the equaliser. Great save. Great save from Martin, and tips it onto the bar and out for a corner. Are the youngsters in the team behaving, Musterman asks Amin. They are no worse than the elder statesmen, so yes, they're doing all right. That was the chance, surely. And Olawale has been pretty reliable from that sort of position up until now. Ryson steps in, he's going to play it through to Reed. Reed gets there just in time, swings the ball in. Lundberg Can't get there. Marshall claims quite easily. Did they buy a Nana from Man United? That was that level of save. It was a phenomenal save. We have come up against some great saves in this save. But that's how things are. We've got to take our chances when they come. We've got to make sure that the keeper can't get to it. Enquist crosses it into Olawale. Oh, Olawale. Right, I like what Olawale is doing. He stays on the pitch because even though he's missing chances, he's getting in those positions. We're going to push Larson up front. We're going to bring Reed off. Sid comes on. Olawale's on a booking. That makes me feel nervous. We're going to push it up. We're going to be more attacking. Come on, we've got to get these chances. Let's give a bit of a demand more out there. Majalo is going to have to come off at some point. He's looking tired. Olawale is going to have to come off at some point. Going attacking has ruined things. So, last 10 minutes. Salonen comes on. Kerake comes on. And Willie Nunes. We're going with the teenage strike force. Don't need to say anything to those guys. They're motivated. We will say something to Salonen. He has no reaction. Can we fire up for the last 10 minutes? See, we went to attacking and we can see the momentum shift. That was a mistake on my behalf. Second half looking good, Red Dap. It is indeed. But unfortunately, we haven't done anything with the chances. And there was a chance for Slavitsky. Good first save from Riekinen. Probably should have followed up with a second. And now it appears to be things are working in Turku's favour. Seizu puts it beyond doubt. That feels harsh. That feels harsh. If we take away their penalty, which was never a penalty, I feel like we should have got something out of this game. Alvinen passive for the second ball. The shot does take a little bit of a deflection on the way through from Reitinen, and we've been put to the sword. They're not going to score a third. That would be rather cruel. That would be exceptionally cruel. Alman plays it out to Niska. Niska forced to go back to Martinen. Right, Hämäläinen passes short and Salonen steps in. Salonen running forwards down the left. Crosses it in. Lundberg! Lundberg! Oh, we have missed so many good chances. The pressing in the early second half was good. 4-4-2 has legs. Yep, I think 4-4-2 does have legs. I'm glad that I stuck to it, but I do feel like 5-3-2 might help us in a little bit more. I'm older than the two strikers combined. Yes, that's unfortunately same here. So there we go. 6 shots for Inter Turku, 2 on target, 2 goals. 8 shots for us, 2 on target, 2 goals. If we take away their penalty, that would bring their XG down to 0.64. So still quite good. So, that's like 1.2, 1.3 per chance. Which is around the same as what we've done, but we just aren't finishing our chances yet again. We need strikers. We need strikers that can finish. Lundberg, Olawale missed big chances. Reed upset me with his getting the ball and then kind of not dribbling. Kind of just like ambled slowly until he got tackled. So that maybe doesn't quite work right. I'm not happy with that. There is no pride in losing 2-0 when you had a chance to win. And so VPS and Ulu both have an opportunity to move ahead of us now. Poncel is going to be out for 3 days. He should be fine. We've got a week until our next game. In your case, wingers that can finish, indeed. Lewandowski might be at the end of his contract. I think we could do it. I think we could just about... he's earned so much money in this point of his career, right? So he doesn't really need a wage. And obviously he's passionate about Finnish football, I'm sure. So he'd want to do it for the goodness of this era. So. I think we'll go for one more game. Oh, we've hired a physio. That's another 120. See, I'm not sending people on courses. I'm not spending 23 grand on a course. You're just going to have to learn it yourself. That's your fault. Should have known how to speak Swedish to begin with. Right, Ulu and VPS aren't playing against one another, so they can both lose, which will be good for us, potentially. But they don't. Ulu wins and we're down to 10th. There we go, just 1 point against the relegation zone. A great win against Ekenas, who have fallen off. There you go, they're up first, and now it's just been one hell of a decline in there. There was our win over them, game number 8. I wanted to say that maybe we were the ones who started to decline, but it's the game beforehand from the looks of things. So let's assume a 4-4-2. What would we want as the team to be there? So who would be the player attacking from deep? Salinen's done okay in terms of driving forwards, right? Njala is the ball winner. Dahlstrom tucking inside. Lundberg to start. And Larsen finally getting a proper game as a striker, potentially. Enquist there, Reiten and Alvinen. Now, you might think I'm being harsh, but Alvinen was quite passive for that second goal. Do these guys have preferred sides? Prefers to be on the right. I know it actually makes no difference, but prefers to be central. So Machado, I feel like, might be a little bit more comfortable with his left foot in that respect. There we go, another player down. Ekenas, where you overclock your CPU. Works above expectations and overheat. Right, 5 days. We get our loan player back. So, Day started the game on loan. Does he have a clause as part of his contract? He doesn't at all. His contract ends at the end of the season. We won't be renewing it because we probably can't. He is a pressing forward, apparently. We don't know where he's been playing. 5 goals suggests maybe he's not that good. Yeah, it looks like he's been playing up front, where he's been getting shots off. Possession loss. Wait a second, where's he been playing? He's been playing in Ukraine. So, in an inactive league, he is good enough for 1 in 5 goal scoring rate. Don't think that's going to solve our problems. Maybe we'll find out, won't we? Now, Hacker were the first team we played in the league. That was the sensational 4-3 white win after being 2-0 down. We scored all of our goals from set pieces. I did say we were going to take over set pieces. Maybe not for tonight, because we've done enough admin as it is. One more in the striker rotation who can't score, indeed. Well, we've got one less right now. There we go. Willie Nunes is out for 3 weeks. Like so, I think Reed has 6, Lundberg has 6, Larsen has 5. In 12 league games and cup games, you know, that is as it is. Maybe not as acceptable. And another injury, 4 to 5 weeks. Marvellous stuff. So there we go. That's our one right back now injured. That means Alvinen. No, I think that just means we have to go this way. So that's Alvinen in on the left. Machado in the centre, Reiten on the right. You're not going to make it there. Okereke, games tomorrow, he's not really going to be fit for it. Olawale on the right. Where is Enquist? Enquist is currently behind the striker. That's not going to be a thing. Am I being dumb? There's Robin Sid. Robin Sid there. Enquist on the left. Dalsrum-Ajala partnership. Actually, I want Sid on the... I want us to play with 2 strikers. So, target forward on support. We'll just put anyone there. Lundberg, Larson. Reed has been okay as an attacking midfielder behind the striker. So hopefully he will run beyond Lundberg. Do we in fact move him this side? So maybe what I'm thinking is that we swap these all round a little bit. So we have him holding because we've got loads of attacking players. That means that Dahlstrom was more likely to find himself in this spot, so that we have the hole there, rather than having ball-winning midfielders who kind of stays a little bit deeper. That creates a big hole there. We'll do that and we have it staggered, which means that the stopper is now on the right-hand side. We try and basically get bodies in and around Lundberg for those knockdowns. Maybe. Our bench, though, will be Suleiman, Patut, and Anderson, because so we have basically no other players up to come onto the pitch, and they're all defenders. So Robin, Sid, and Salonen are attacking options from the bench. Don't really, therefore, have a way to change it up if things aren't going right. That'll be Robin Sid's job, maybe. Physios have a lot of work now. They do indeed, Levi. Our injury proneness our injuries have been an issue. Really. So they say expected total 72. I've never seen it get that high. The best month we had was last month with only 4 injuries. And considering before the save started. So 5, 5, 7, 5, 5, 4, 6. We have been really struggled to keep players fit in a team with only 21 players. That's not necessarily great for us. And Day, our lonely end, the loan ends after this game. Right, here we go. IFK Mariehamn versus Hacker. It'd be nice if they did the Hacker. That could be a nice touch. I wonder, so is Hacker a place in Finland? Valkeakoski is the name of the town or city that they're based. Managed by Andy Smith with a fine beard. The Northern Irish manager, whose previous experience was at Mestski Futbolowy Klub Dubnica. Is that Croatia? Slovakia. Oh, interesting. So was assistant manager at Port Vale, left football for 6 years, ended up as manager in Slovakia and then in Finland. That sounds like there's one hell of a story. Andy Smith, preferred job assistant manager. Well, I'm guessing so I imagine when it comes to the researchers with that, they're like, well, he's been an assistant manager all his career. He's just randomly popped up in Slovakia, so we'll just guess that it was a weird set of circumstances or something. Right, so here we go. They're going to be playing a 4-4-2. We are lining up with a... Nah, we're going with him central. I don't want to be doing asymmetrical. Now, a 5-3-2 should be good against a 4-4-2. We are doubling up against where we've got advantage in the middle there. We've got extra cover against their strikers. But for some reason, our defenders aren't able to recognise that when one defender stops, the other needs to cover. So, Keys Kicker, good evening. I hope you're well. The commands, I'm afraid, only work on Twitch. They are Twitch commands. But we are in Finland. We're currently in the first season, managing IFK Mariehamn. They're based on they're based off the mainland of Finland in the archipelago, which is kind of closer to Sweden. Sweden's their official language. We are a relegation fighting team. We expect to be near the bottom of the league, and we're halfway through the season. We are very much near the bottom of the league. We have a very, very small squad. We have no money, and we are trying to use data to recruit. The first transfer window for us opens in about 15 days, 15, 20 days, so in the save. And that's hopefully going to allow us to strengthen our squad. So there's a chance for Blumstein, Riekenen with the save. So good time to join. We're only like 15 or 20 games into the season, if you include Cup. If you include the Cup, in fact, we're about 20 games into the first season. Right, Rogerson here. We managed to push them back, that's okay, but there's a chance going down the outside. Rogerson gets past his man, he's been allowed, and there's another penalty. It's another penalty. How can we do it? We can't deal with this. How many penalties have we conceded? Rivera! And that's 1-0. Oh my word. JHK, is Andy Smith the next Graham Potter? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Another one who's on vacation, randomly ended there as manager. It does seem that way. That's a cracking penalty from Rivera. Right into the roof of the net. And that again accounts for all the XG. We expect to be behind the sticks a little bit, but here goes. So we want to push it forwards even more. We're going attacking early. We might as well. So like, these defenders aren't being instructed to tackle harder. They've got good tackle win rates. We just can't stop giving away penalties. Ref indeed. So Olawale with the cross. That's cleared by Tallow. And here's a chance for Hacker to break. Rivera plays it to Blumstein. Back to Tallow. White moves it out to the left-hand side. They've been pushing down this left-hand side quite a bit. That's something for us to perhaps change in a second as Blumstein's got acres of space. Shot from the edge of the area. That's wide. So let's try and push everyone over to the right-hand side. Let's not have them. They're making ways down the right, and that's obviously our weakest in terms of Olawale not being a right back, and we obviously have no right back for this game. Olawale plays it forwards. Mahuta. Mahuta's a great name. Oh, God, I'm being childish. Rivera out on the left, plays it inside to Perm. Can he play it through? There's a run from Blumstein, doesn't make it there. Blumstein aims from distance, Riekenen pushes it away. Would have been disappointed had he conceded that. Danny says, I'm in season 3 of my save, and it's very unique because for season 3 I downloaded your skin, and boy am I having fun with it. Thank you for this skin. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So originally I was going to do a build a nation with youth only, but after one of your vids on YouTube I changed it to use your skin. Marvellous to hear. And it sounds like you're getting on a lot better than us. So it's not the skin that's responsible for us conceding penalties, at least. And there's a chance for 2-0. It's a scramble. We get it away. So we had a small spell in the second half before we reacted to try and push them over to the other side. But other than that, it's been all FC Hacker. We can feel a little bit fortunate. They should have made it 2-0 there. But the referee situation, we are being absolutely screwed over with penalties as Rogerson strikes. It's a great block. Is that Riekenen? It was Riekenen. There's another save from Riekenen. This is painful. This is painful. You showed the extreme fouls made before related to the penalty situation. Like, seems to be we don't have tackle harder on. I thought that was about to be another penalty. It's just we can't defend. We're not going to shoot if that's it. Right, we're going to match up with the 4-4-2. That puts Lundberg back up with Larsen. Lundberg's been okay. Larsen's been pretty rubbish. So this would mean Riekenen as our right back, because we don't have any right backs because Nissinen is injured. Olawale and Reed. I haven't really seen Reed do anything, so that will be that'd be the change we'd be looking at. Target forward, we will Again, push to more direct. Bit more width. Let's try and just like swing it in. Not countering. That's fine. No, tackle harder. We try hit early crosses. He's not, because he's the guy that crosses. We've got him to cross there. Let's cross more often. He's got cross more often on. Like it's only 1-0 at half time. I'm telling everyone they're disappointed again. It's only half time, so we're 1-0 down, which is marvellous. So, yes, that should say, yeah, Danny, I worked that out indeed. I think you need a penalty conceded emoji, says Bam Bam. We do indeed. I think that can easily replace the VAR one, because there is no VAR in this league anyway. But it is, to be fair, I feel like we have been robbed. Right, Dallas from standing over for Olawale shoots from distance with his weaker foot. Why Olawale? Why Olawale? Another corner now. Enquist swings it in at the near post. Second chance, Larson. What are you playing at, Larson? Let that drop. Let that drop. You are an idiot. There's no one around him. Just let it drop and hit it with your foot. Hit it with your foot. That's a thing you're good at. You're not good at heading. Oh, you idiot. Right, so they've Hacker weathered the storm now, potentially. Is this a chance for them to double their lead? Ball forwards, Enquist gets it clear. Not far enough though. Konstantiniku. Ajala steps in and it comes back, just always coming back. But here's Olawale, plays it forwards. Perm intercepts. It's absolute chaos right now. Rogerson, we can't make the tackle stick. Abubakari crosses Alban and gets it clear. Here's the header back in. Rivera. That's blocked by Machado. That is some of the sloppiest football from both sides I've ever seen. Just pinballing all the way. One team makes a tackle, it goes back to the other team. It does. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. That is lower league football at its finest. Right, the long kick immediately comes back our way. Reitinen, stuck out at right back. Sends it to Riekinen, who just launches it forward to Lundberg. We get our bodies in around it, but Salonen can't win there. And here's Rogerson coming forward. Rogerson through, shoots from the angle. Is that saved? That's saved apparently. So we've managed to stop them from attacking down the left-hand side a bit. They bring on a new left back. Now they're attacking down the left-hand side. Adam Larson is coming off. We don't really have a striker to come on, so it's going to be Olawale. Pushed up front. Enquist is looking tired. Jalo's looking tired. But there's not really much else we can do apart from push that up to an attacking mentality. Come on now. So let's... Fire up didn't do us any good last time, so we're going to demand more. Us going attacking seems to push momentum back in their favour a little bit, but you know, that's kind of it. We just let's lump the ball forwards. We will be going a little bit more direct in a moment, but here's Salonen. Salonen's through from the angle, straight at Lepolo, who pushes it behind. Fortunately, that was never going to be a goal. Adam Larson's been such a disappointment, RJ. Such a disappointment. Seems like he's best playing off the left-hand side. It's a shame because I'd really like us to have a two-striker formation, and he doesn't really fit into a 4-4-2. Kilo plays it back to Freeberg. White now back again. Here's the cross the far post. Rogerson into the side netting. Thankfully, that was never going to be too dangerous. Inside forward from the left or nothing. Exactly. We have very little other choices there. So I think we are going to drop these guys back. And the reason we're going to drop them back is because we're going to have to push forwards with everyone else. I don't have someone to... So this is... Actually, can one of these guys play at right back? I'm sure Jala can play at right back. That's that issue sorted there. I'm going to do this so that we can push these guys forwards Attacking midfielder there, attacking midfielder there. We've got wing backs on both sides. Reisner obviously isn't the player that can do that. So Olawale, Dahlstrom, Enqvist, Alvnen is more tired than Reitnen is. So Salonen to push forwards. We essentially have these guys. Don't want him taking more risks, but he can dribble forwards. Jala is the right back. Monsell is good at ball winning. Dahlstrom can drop deep into that first line to help us when we need to and to take more risks. These guys both get forwards. Sid is roam from position, dribble more, take more risks. Salonen, however, is a second striker essentially. And so we have no other attacking players we can bring on. The most attacking player we had available is now on. I think that's what we've got to go with. We've got to go even more direct. There is a transition to distribute to target man. We should have plenty of bodies around him into the last 5 minutes. Remind me of that French player. What is his name again? Which French player? There are many, many French players. Larson is an inside forward attack with a single pressing forward, creating the space for Larson to run into. So we've done that, and that hasn't really worked out for us. So Larson has been most effective playing off a target forwards when we had Lundberg and Larson coming off. So that seemed to be the best combination that we've had for him. But when we've had a pressing forward up front or an advanced forward creating the space, just doesn't seem to get the opportunities. And there we go. That is yet another defeat. That is 4 defeats in the league in a row now. 5 games without a win in the league. Oh, I don't know. He signed for a small Spanish team this summer. I feel like I'm missing something. Is there something? Well, I'm confused, RJ. I'm confused. Is this someone we've discussed? Are you just talking about general good French players? Or I'm lost. You'll have to help me out. I'm sorry. It's an Mbappe joke? Right. Okay. Right. That's what we're going for. Apologies. I am slow. There we go. So now Ulu lost, which is good. BPS haven't played. They've got a game in hand. They could potentially jump above us and put us into the relegation zone. That would be a bugger, wouldn't it? That would be a bugger. But we do have a cup game coming up, and a cup game is a chance for us to potentially get our form back underway. Maybe we start things, then Ulu, and then the transfer window opens. So there we go. Goals against 25, so we've not got the worst defence in the league, but that game was not. We deserved to lose that game. We didn't create good enough chances. It's not like the Turku game where I feel like we were completely robbed. Well, I say we deserved to lose. That Hacker had some great chances, but yet another penalty. That's 1, 2, 3. Just the 3 penalties, is it conceded? 3. Just the 3 in the league, actually. So that's not too bad. It's in the cup. We've conceded 1 in the cup. That's 4. In the League Cup. We didn't in that game, did we? No. Didn't there. We scored a penalty there. 4 penalties in 20 games is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it could have been worse. Ekenas do have a straight 5 defeats indeed. Our biggest problem is that we, like the Hacker and the Inter Turku may be a bit more mid-table. Hacker are a good team, and we've done better against the good teams. That's kind of where we need to pick up, where we tend to pick up points. Where we need to pick up points, though, is against these relegation teams. So Ulu and VPS, our next 2 league games are going to be massive, which means it's only appropriate that I leave us on that cliffhanger. Couple of reasons. The next ad break starts in like 2 minutes. Let's spare going through that. I don't know if you've noticed, but just like Friday evening, my voice seems to go once we get into the games. I really need to try something there. Oh. McKins, you absolute gentleman. I hope you are well. How was your stream this evening? I am so sorry, guys. We are literally about to head off ourselves now as well. You might be able to hear it a little bit in my voice. It's starting to go, so we were going to call it ends there. But what I would like to say is hello, welcome. I'm MustermannFM. I'm relatively new to this Twitch thing, and we're a little bit rubbish. We're in Finland. It's our very first season, and we had the transfer window disabled, so we're coming up to a point where we can actually finally use data to find great signings, but we have no budget. That's what we're going to be doing on the next stream, which is Wednesday evening at around 7 o'clock. And I expect that a lot of you will probably be watching McKins at that time. But I would really appreciate it if you consider just like chucking us a follow. Maybe then when we're on back on Wednesday or on another evening, have a chance to check it out and see whether you'd like to stick around. And then if you don't want to stick around, you can unfollow. Like I won't see that bit, so it's absolutely fine. So we're going to head out